Stabler, who is not only playing his first regular season home game as a member of the Oilers, but is coming off a performance in Cleveland in which he completed 82% of his passes. It's the Houston Oilers and Baltimore Colts from the Texas, two teams with a common thread in 1980. They have both lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Along with Bob Trumpy, this is Sam Nover, and you want offense? The Oilers, of course, have it. But I would have to say the Baltimore Colts are not exactly the little sisters of the poor, are they, Bob?
You're right. You mentioned a tandem for scoring. Well, the Baltimore Colts with Burt Jones at quarterback in the last 5 years have been 37-14. Without him, 5-20. On the right, Joe Washington last year led the NFL in pass receptions with 82. He is from Port Arthur, Texas, which is 100 miles from here, and he has got everybody from Port Arthur, Texas here with tickets and rooting for the Baltimore Colts. High-scoring game. Another capacity crowd to love you blue, as they say in Houston. We'll have more of our pregame report on the Oilers and the Colts right after this. The executive producer of NFL 80 is Don Ohlmeyer. Today's show was produced by David Stern, directed by Bob Levy. Technical director Sal Nagita, the associate producer David Neal, the associate directors John Filippelli and Mike Eilbaum. Coming up next, two of the AFC's finest, the Baltimore Colts and the Houston Oilers from the Astrodome in Houston, Texas. Trumpy in the Astrodome, nice to have you with us. Tony Fritsch of the Houston Oilers prepared to kick it to the Baltimore Colts. Don McCauley, Nesby Glasgow, and Kim Anderson in the deep receiving spots. Another capacity crowd, 50,000 plus on hand, and we're underway. Glasgow, 20, 25, and knocked down there as he reaches the 27-yard line. Stopped by John Corker, number 57. A rookie linebacker out of Oklahoma State. So Burt Jones and company will put it in play after the 20-yard return by Glasgow. Jones with Washington and a free agent by the name of Cleveland Franklin. The running game perhaps will need some help today. Wide receivers, Roger Carr having a great performance against Pittsburgh. Raymond Butler, the rookie from Southern California. Jones from his own 27-yard line. And movement in the offensive line of Baltimore immediately, and flags are down everywhere.
Sam, I would look for the Baltimore Colts against this Houston Oilers defense to try to avoid that dreaded 2nd down and 10 situation. Therefore,
75 offense.
And that's George Coons, former colleague of ours here in the NBC broadcasting booth, who spent a year out of football with a bad back and has gone back again, Bob.
Sam, he actually spent 2 years out with a bad back, one to recuperate from the back surgery and one here in the booth. Mike McCormick, the new head coach of the Baltimore Colts. You see the offensive line, including George Coons, talked him back onto the field, and he's only playing his 3rd game in the last 2 years, so
it's first down and 15 for Baltimore. Now back at their own 22-yard line. The Ruston rifle. Jones complete to Washington. And now they ruled it incomplete. Didn't hold on to the football. But that may be exactly what you'll see a great deal of today. Burt Jones throwing the ball on first down.
I agree with you totally, and an awful lot to Joe Washington. He's a very versatile young man. And Houston already brings in their nickelback situation. And over the last 2 years, as you look at the defensive line of the Houston Oilers, over the last 2 years, teams have only completed about 30% of their passes against this nickel defense of the Houston Oilers.
26 years of experience for Culp and Buffet, and 4 outstanding linebackers led by the perennial All-Pro Robert Brazile. And again, this time is to Washington for a yard or 2. It is virtually impossible to run against the Houston Oilers. Andy Dora, 69, Curly Culp, 78, making the stop.
And Sam, this is a team, this Houston Oilers football team, most of the press it gets is for its offense, but its defense has been very much overlooked. They are, those defensive backs collectively are very, very good. Reinfeldt last year had 12 interceptions, which led the NFL, and when they bring that 5th defensive back in, who is Jack Tatum, they are very difficult to play against.
So we have a 3rd down and 13 for Burt Jones. Roger Carr and Raymond Butler as wide receivers. And again, number 75, I think George Coons, movement in the offensive line for Baltimore. Well, he had a very, very difficult time in his debut back. Mark Gastineau, the rookie of the New York Jets, ran roughshod over Mr. Coons.
Number 75, offense.
It is indeed George Coons again.
Yes, but Sam, even though he's had 2 procedure penalties here in the first 4 plays of the game, Let me remind you that the Baltimore Colts had an awful lot of problems last year at offensive tackle, both left and right. And George Coons brings a great deal of experience and a great deal of solidarity to that offensive line. And I don't blame him for being a little nervous. I think it's pretty difficult to be out of the game for 2 years and then come back and try to play. And play to the level that George Coons played 3 years ago, which was all pro caliber.
Yeah, I was going to say, Bob, when he was right, there was nobody better. Third down, 18 Baltimore. Washington on the sweep. There's a little daylight, reaches the 25. Pushback, Ken Kennard, the nose tackle, number 71, with great lateral movement. Robert Brazile was over there, and the crowd going crazy in Houston, as they will. And if they seem a little louder to you today, it's because they gave away something like 50,000 blue megaphones. So the sound will be amplified.
With "We Love You Blue" on it.
We Love You Blue.
Which is the logo now for the Houston Oilers. We love you blue.
Mike Bragg will do the punting, the former Washington Redskin punter who maybe Jack Pardee gave up on a little early. To Carl Roaches in single safety.
Woo.
One of the oldest rookies in the National Football League history. At his own 28. Tripped up at the 38-yard line and falls forward to the 40. Downfield to make the stop for the Baltimore Colts was number 26, Kim Anderson. This telecast is presented by authority of the National Football League, and it is intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast or other use of this telecast without the express written consent of the Houston Oilers and the National Football League is prohibited.
Sam, 38 yards on that punt, 10 yards on the return by Roaches, who was a free agent. And at this time last year, Carl Roaches, at age 25, was driving an ice cream truck in Houston. Bum Phillips finds him everywhere.
Stabler has found happiness in Houston after the trade for Dan Pastorini. Campbell, of course, you're well acquainted with, and his great blocking back Wilson, and Campbell for 3 yards on first down off his own left guard, David Carter, number 58. That is a great offensive line the Houston Oilers have out in front of both Campbell and Stabler. There are the receivers. Billy Whiteshoes is back, but they missed 00 Kenny Burrow.
Sam, let's once again mention what the Houston Oilers did to the Cleveland Browns last week. They ran 77 offensive plays and had the ball 47 minutes and 20 seconds of the entire football game. Cleveland only ran 12 offensive plays in the second half. This has turned into a very ball control offense here in Houston.
Second down, 7, play action for Stabler. Over the middle, off the hands of Campbell and dropped. Ed Simonini, number 56, had the coverage, the 6-foot, 206-pound linebacker from Texas A&M, and all he did last week was make 17 tackles against the Pittsburgh Steelers.
He is my favorite player. Anybody who has got the guts to stand in there behind all those fat guys at 200 pounds deserves a great deal of admiration. Ed Simonini. Last year he averaged 13.5 tackles a game at 6 foot, 205 pounds.
And on the third down and 7, Simonini comes out. Nickel defense, Lyle Blackwood, the 5th defensive back for Baltimore. Stabler directly back to pass. Throws it out. Great catch. Ronnie Coleman at the 50 and very close to a Houston first down. Ronnie Coleman, no question about it, has the best pair of hands on the Houston Oilers.
Sam, it's rather interesting, too, that in that reception by Ronnie Coleman, the Houston Oilers did not have a receiver more than 12 yards deep in the pattern. Ken Stabler, lifetime 59% completion passer, and he will nickel and dime you to death. 8 yards on the reception for a first down, and you will see that all day long, and Oakland has seen that for the last 10 years with Ken Stabler at quarterback, and that's exactly what Bum Phillips wanted.
First down right on the midfield stripe. Back to Campbell again. He trips in his own backfield and lost a yard. That doesn't happen very often. Number 63, Mike Barnes, was there, the veteran from Miami. Somebody made excellent penetration. May have been Freddie Cook, 72, as you're looking at the veteran front four. Ehrman gets a start today over Herb Orvis, who is ailing just a bit. The linebackers with Simonini in the middle. Barry Krause starting for the injured Mike Woods today, number 1 draft choice from Alabama last year. And a much improved secondary led by Derek Hatchett. First round draft choice out of the University of Texas. We'll talk more about him later, but he's had a great start to this year. Campbell lost 2 more. Tim Wilson, it was the ball carrier, number 45. And he lost a couple of yards. Greg Fields, 79. Joe Ehrman, 76 were there.
Nickel back in for Baltimore now, expecting Dan Passerini to throw it probably no more than 10 or 12 yards, just enough for the first down.
Ronnie Coleman, 47. Rob Carpenter, 26. Check into the Houston backfield on 3rd down and 13.
Look at that formation, Sam.
The lone setback is Carpenter. He gets the handoff on the sweep. Trying to get outside and very close to a Houston first down. Brought down on the far side by strong safety Bruce Laird. He will be close to another Houston first down, perhaps a yard or so shy.
Sam, it will be interesting right here to see if Houston, if Bum Phillips goes for it, because in Pittsburgh they didn't and they lost. Let's see if Bum Phillips, I think he's going to punt it away. 11 yards on that carry. There's Bum. He's not wearing a cowboy hat because his mother, Naomi, who lives in Port Arthur, Texas, told her son that it was not it didn't have many manners to wear a hat inside. So Bum doesn't wear his hat inside the Astrodome.
I think Mama has told Bum a few things in recent years. Wasn't pleased with some of the language he used at that great rally here at the Astrodome upon the Oilers' return after their loss to Pittsburgh in the championship game. Gave him a scolding. Fair catch at the 9-yard line by Nesby Glasgow, so Baltimore has it for the second time today. 50,000 in the Astrodome. Glad you could join us. The Oilers and Baltimore Colts are scoreless following a 31-yard punt by Cliff Parsley. Well, the Tyler Rose off to a rather inauspicious beginning here against the Baltimore Colts, but I don't think he can be deterred at all.
Sam, you realize that Earl Campbell's been in the league 2 years. This is now his 3rd year. Oh, wait a minute. Let's talk about this. The NFL is now being very strict with the dress code of the players, and I do believe the official is telling Bum Phillips that one of his players either got taped too high. Mike Reinfeldt had to come out of the game for at least one play. He's back in now. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Last week, Karl Mock and David Carter were both fined $250 for having their shirt tails hanging out. On first down, Joe Washington trying to get outside, breaks a tackle to the 15. Tripped up there by Greg Bingham, number 54, the 8-year veteran out of Purdue, and Art Stringer, the 2 inside linebackers in that 3-4 defense of the Houston Oilers, but he gained 5, maybe 6 yards on the carry.
That's a good spot for Baltimore to be in. Now, Houston will not go with that nickel situation, that 5th back in a 4-man rush with 2 linebackers. As long as Baltimore can stay out of that 2nd and long situation or 3rd and long situation, they'll be productive all day long. And there's the magic man for the Baltimore Colts. 37-14 the Colts are with him starting in the last 5 years.
Threw for 250 yards against the vaunted Steeler defense last Sunday. Nothing doing on that one. Washington again lost a yard. Ted Washington was there to stop Joe Washington for a loss of a yard. It'll be 3rd down and 6. And one perhaps has to wonder about Mike McCormick and Burt Jones' strategy in running the football here.
And here comes the nickel back in the 4-2-5 configuration of Eddie Biles' Houston Oilers defense. Now it's very difficult for the Baltimore Colts to find a seam in that 5-back configuration.
And on 3rd down, Don McCauley, old reliable, number 23, the 10-year veteran, into the backfield. Great pair of hands on McCauley. Randy Burke, number 84, an outside receiver, along with Roger Carr. Jones, good protection, has McCauley for the first down.
You called it.
23-yard line, and old reliable. I think Burt Jones tabbed him, Mr. Clutch. And he's there when you need him, and McCauley with a big reception. So the Colts now with their first down of the day.
9 yards on the reception, and Don McCauley last year wasn't even a starter. He caught 55 passes, and I would bet that 50 of them were on 3rd down and short yardage situations, or 5 or 6 yard situations.
You are probably right, Bob. This is an altogether different football team. There is no question about it when number 7 is in there.
Mike McCormick, the new head coach for the Baltimore Colts.
Replacing Ted Marchibroda as Jones goes back again on first down. Pump fakes, throws it down here, and it's almost intercepted. In and out of the hands of number 56, Art Stringer. Raymond Butler was the intended receiver. He also had his hands on the ball, but Stringer came closer to the interception.
Yes, and Burt Jones had plenty of time to stand back there and watch these 2 receivers. That's Carr on the outside, Butler on the inside, the rookie out of USC, who has been somewhat of a surprise. And you'll see that the ball is just behind him. And not very well thrown by Burt, but nevertheless a tough situation to get it in there.
I think Colts people are referring to Butler as another John Stallworth. Looks like him physically. Washington on the handoff. Scampers through a nice hole to the 32, 33-yard line. In the grasp of strong safety Vernon Perry. And he'll come up just a little shy of a first down. It'll be third down at about a yard now for Baltimore. They are moving the ball on Houston.
This guy, Joe Washington, 5 feet 10 inches tall, 185 pounds. He averaged 7 yards a carry for 3 years playing at Oklahoma. And to repeat, he's from Port Arthur, Texas, which is about 100 miles, make it 90 miles south of Houston. And he's got all kinds of people here because he's never played in the Astrodome before. So it's kind of a homecoming for Joe Washington.
We kind of wished he was from Crockett, Texas.
Yes, we did.
Didn't we, Bob? Because then we could call him what?
The Crockett Rocket.
Yes, sure. Third down and 1. And a first down fumble. Houston has the ball. The first down was gained by McCauley, I believe, who fumbled the ball, and Houston has it. Unless they whistled the play dead. Nope, they've given it to the Oilers. McCauley got the first down and lost the ball, and Brazil recovered.
I think it was just on the hit that McCauley coughed the ball up. A good trap up the middle by a very underrated Colt offensive line. I think he got hit. Ball just squirted out, and that's something you cannot do against the Houston Oilers. Those breaks will pile up against you.
So the first break of the day goes to the Oilers. They take over at the Baltimore 49 when we return to the Astrodome. Over Bob Trumpy, we welcome you back to the Astrodome in Houston. No score. The Oilers have just recovered a Don McCauley fumble, and they have it first down at the Baltimore 49-yard line. The Snake Kenny Stabler coming off an 82% passing performance against Cleveland. Hands to Campbell, and flags are down as Earl reaches the 47-yard line for a gain of 2, but let's check the flag. And while we do, let me give you the crew here. Our referee is Gordon McCarter. The umpire, Tony Kramer. The head linesman, Bill Ross. The line judge, Jack Fetty. The back judge is Jimmy Rosser. The side judge, Ron D'Souza. And the field judge is Armin Terzian. Offside, Baltimore. And Houston obviously will take the 5 yards in as much as Campbell gained but 2 on the ground. This is the 5th time that Baltimore and Houston have ever met. They are 2-2, with Houston winning their last meeting in Baltimore last year, 28-16.
Offside. Defense. The outside rusher. 1st and 5.
I think Gordon forgot the number and the name of the player.
Maybe we got to give those guys cue cards.
Well, I know how he feels. I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
May have been Barry Krause, the outside linebacker, who lined up offside. First down and 5 now for Stabler and company. Campbell, the deep back in the eye, picks his way to the 36-yard line. He'll be shy of a first down. It'll be 2nd down and a long 2. Fred Cook is the man who made the stop.
Football team with Ken Stabler at quarterback now for the Houston Oilers. Earl Campbell's longest run so far this season has been 18 yards, and the longest pass completion by the quarterback has been 24 yards. Now, their longest pass reception or pass completion was 57 yards from Campbell to Billy White Shoes Johnson. But a ball control offense.
2nd down and 2, double tight end situation. Rich Castor, the former New York Jet, joining Mike Barber. Second back through is Campbell, and he drags Simonini to about the 33-yard line and a Houston first down. And so the Oilers trying to capitalize on the Don McCauley fumble, having first down at the Baltimore 33-yard line. I think it's interesting, Bob, in itself that already just 2 games into the season, both of these teams have played one common foe, the Pittsburgh Steelers, both of them giving the Steelers all they could handle.
Yeah, I got a lot to say about the Houston Oilers playing the Pittsburgh Steelers in the opening game of the season. Give me a little time later on the show and I'll tell you.
You got all day, friend. We'll be here for a couple of hours.
Yep, we will.
Pitches to Campbell. Tim Wilson leading the way. Campbell tries to swing it outside. Breaks a couple of tackles as he reaches the 30-yard line. Sanders Shiver, number 54, now in his 5th year out of Carson Newman, is the man who ran him out of bounds after he gained about 3.
You'll see on this play good support by Bruce Laird, the strong safety of the Baltimore Colts, and that's the secret really to stopping that rushing game of the Houston Oilers. Getting that strong safety up there to string it out, have him run for the sideline and use the sideline as another teammate. Campbell now 5 rushes for 11 yards. Last week he had his first game over 100 yards against the Cleveland Browns.
I got to think that not only is it challenging to have to play a man like Campbell, but it's invigorating. I think linebackers like Shiver and Simonini defensive linemen like Cook and Ehrman and Fields can get up for a man like that.
Whoa.
Stabler going long to White shoes. Flag is down. Interference against Brazil.
Good call. That's a rookie mistake. That ball was overthrown. Billy White Shoes Johnson would have never gotten to it. And Larry Brazil, thinking that it was going to be a completion, put his hand on Billy White Shoes Johnson. It was all over but the shot. They'll have first and goal on the 1.
Brazil may be a little gun shy.
Interference. Number 47 defense. First down, goal to go.
Now you watch, see this ball. This ball is overthrown. Billy White Shoes Johnson is not going to get to it. But still, he puts his hand on it. That ball is 6 yards in front of him. He wouldn't have made the reception.
I think Brazil has to be a little gun shy, Bob. He got beat on the exact same play by Jimmy Smith when the Steelers beat Baltimore 20-17 last Sunday. Same kind of play. Got caught in single coverage on about a 25-yard pass. And I could see perhaps history repeating itself, and I'm sure he could too. Campbell did not get in. Second effort he did. Did they allow it or not?
Simonini on the stop. Get used to that. That was a 29-yard penalty, Sam, and I repeat, I do not believe that ball would have been caught by Billy White Shoes Johnson.
I agree 100%. It was badly overthrown by Stabler.
Wait a minute. Not badly overthrown. Not badly overthrown, but the adjustment to the ball coming straight over your head is the most difficult adjustment to make. I don't think Billy White Shoes Johnson would have caught it.
McCormick obviously concerned. Houston with a second down and goal at the 1. Carpenter in motion. Campbell, this time he's in. And a great ground level shot too, and you can see how low Earl Campbell stays to the ground.
Ran right behind Leon Gray and David Carter at left guard. Carl Mock at center. A very overlooked offensive line of the Houston Oilers. And also those people in the backfield that are blocking for him. Ronnie Coleman, Tim Wilson, Mike Barber. This is a very good offensive team. And of course, at 225 or 30 pounds, that low to the ground, nobody's going to stop him.
Gifford Nielsen will hold for Tony Fritsch, who is off to another great start this year. 3 for 3 in the field goal department, 4 out of 4 extra points. Placement by Nielsen, it is perfect. So capitalizing on the fumble recovery by Robert Brazil. The Houston Oilers have moved 49 yards, and also the pass interference didn't hurt him at all. 7-0 Houston. In Houston, Tony Fritsch following the Earl Campbell touchdown. Then Nesby Glasgow at the 8. 25, swings it outside, 30-35, reverses his field to the 40. And dropped to the 42-yard line by Tim Smith, a rookie out of Nebraska. And an excellent return by Glasgow of 34 yards, and the Colts are right back in business.
And if the Houston Oilers have had a problem against the Pittsburgh Steelers, although you must include interceptions too, they allowed 260 yards in returns. You can see Glasgow getting up out in there. I'm not going to second guess a runner, and I think if he'd have broken to the outside, he'd have had a better chance to take it a little farther.
From the 42-yard line, Carr splits wide left, Raymond Butler to the right. Jones on first down. Throws it down and over the head of the intended receiver, Roger Carr. I had Carr split to the wrong side. Carr was on the near side and Butler on the far side, and Jones threw that one out of bounds, although it appeared that he had Carr open.
Once again, throwing the ball on first down, but Ted Washington, number 59 of the Houston Oilers, did a good job dropping right underneath that pass pattern.
Earlier, Bob gave you the statistical information on Burt Jones, what kind of team Baltimore is with him and what kind of team they are without him. But it goes without saying he has played in only 7 games in the past 2 years because of shoulder injuries. And Terry Bradshaw perhaps said it best, only Burt Jones could be out 2 years and then return and still continue as the premier quarterback in the game. As you look at Crazy George, who inspires the fans, Joe Washington with a bit of inspirational running, and he's a little bit upset, thinking they may have whistled the play dead a little early. Jesse Baker, number 75, is a man who grabbed him and held him. I don't know if he ever put him down.
I wonder if he's out of uniform by NFL standards. He has silver shoes on.
No, there are no requirements on shoes.
Oh, really?
No problems.
Okay, thank you very much, Coach. Uh-oh. Pittsburgh on top of Cincinnati, 14-10, huh?
Steelers, Jets really taking it on the chin from San Francisco. The 49ers are for real. 7-3 Atlanta. Don Strock starting for the Dolphins today. You may have seen that in our NFL 80 pregame show. Jones to Carr and overthrew him. Good coverage by Greg Stenrick, number 27, who was back there with Roger Carr. And so it's 4th down to Baltimore. We'll have to kick it away.
Good coverage by all the Houston Oilers defensive backs. Once again, that nickel configuration. 4 rushers up front, 2 linebackers. They take Greg Bingham out and 5 defensive backs, and they play it, well, I'd say one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFL for that 5-back configuration.
So Mike Bragg, the 13-year veteran out of Richmond who starred with the Washington Redskins for so many years, kicking to a rookie by the name of Carl Roaches. 4:35 to go first quarter. Fair catch. Football. It is loose, and I think Roaches saved the day for Houston. Jeff Groth, the up man, number 81, fumbled the ball on a fair catch, but Roaches was very alert in making the recovery, and Houston maintains the football. 36 yards on the punt, no return. Steve Heimkreider, the Notre Dame rookie, was downfield. So Kenny Stabler back out again with a 7-0 lead. The Oilers have treated their partisans to a nice first quarter thus far. Sam Nover, Bob Trumpy back in Houston. Jeff Groth, the fair catch. It doesn't always work, does it, Bob?
No, it went right between his hands. Hit on his knees, and the good humor man, Carl Roaches, who drove the ice cream truck last year, Johnny on the spot.
Maybe he's from Crockett, Texas.
No. These people tell me nobody is from Crockett, Texas. They also tell me Port Arthur's east of here, not south.
And if you're watching in Crockett, Texas, please address your letters to Bob Trumpy, care of NBC. First down for Stabler from his own 16-yard line. Last time he drove the team 49 for a score. And the handoff to Rob Carpenter to about the 18-yard line, stacked up there by Barry Krause. 6'3", 238, a mountain of a man from Alabama, who was starting to play outside and may have to stay there if Simonini continues to play as well as he is.
Sam, Campbell out of the ballgame for some reason. I don't know if he's just resting, but the backfield is Rob Carpenter and Tim Wilson.
And Mike Barber is down, a young man who has had chronic knee problems. Seems to be, well, no sense guessing. Barber is down.
Yeah, but
on NBC Sports, kickoff week 4 of the NFL season. Exciting doubleheader action. We invite you to start your day with Bryant Gumbel NFL 80. Most of you will then see the Oakland Raiders at Buffalo. At 4 o'clock, Seattle takes on Washington, plus other regional games all next Sunday here on NBC. We invite you to check your listings for the games in your area. Here it's 7-0 Oilers. 4:06 to go first quarter. Following a Don McCauley fumble, Houston drove it 49 yards, aided by a pass interference call against Larry Brazil. Tim Wilson, as they faked the quick pitch, and Wilson took it on the handoff. Nesby Glasgow brought him down, but not before he got a first down near the 30-yard line. Good block by Carl Mock, the center.
11 yards on the carry by Wilson, and I repeat, Earl Campbell on the sidelines for some reason. I don't think he could possibly be hired, but good blocking up there on Ehrman, on Mike Barnes by that offensive line. The right side being Conway Heyman and Ed Fisher of the Houston Oilers. And also a good tackle by Glasgow.
Here's a guy who only averages 3.5 carries per game, Tim Wilson. And the deep man is Rob Carpenter again, fighting his way to the 35-yard line. As the Colts went to the 3-4 defense, bringing in Steve Heimkreider for Joe Ehrman. So with only 3 down linemen, Cook, Barnes, and Fields, they have 4 backers.
Sam, and there are a lot of teams that run their franchises by computers. The Houston Oilers is not one of those teams. Rob Carpenter is a farm boy out of Miami of Ohio, and Eddie Biles, their defensive coordinator, went up to talk to him about being drafted. He was baling hay and wouldn't have dinner with Eddie Biles until he got done. Eddie said, that kind of kid I want on my team.
Second down 5, Heimkreider out, Ehrman is in. Here's Wilson again. Second carry in the first quarter. This will set an all-time record for Tim Wilson. I don't think he's ever carried twice in one quarter. Nesby Glasgow had to make the stop again. And the Baltimore defense starting to put a great deal of pressure on their free safety. 9 yards on the carry.
And you see it from the defensive side. And I think it probably is somewhat of a letdown for Baltimore. When Campbell goes out, you think, aha, now we got a chance. Well, Wilson breaks it up through the middle. There's the head bum with the Oilers. The one with the cowboy boots, Mr. Phillips.
But no hat. Not indoors.
Naomi's favorite son.
From the 43, Stabler again to Carpenter, and a great defensive play by Freddie Cook. Number 72.
And today starting in his 93rd straight game. Not bad at all, coming off his best year as a pro for the Baltimore Colts.
A minute 45 to go, 7-0 Oilers. We're in the first quarter. Second down 14 as Cook stops Carpenter for a 4-yard loss.
This is when Stabler is most dangerous. Second down and 14. He's got 2 downs to get that 14 yards. He might do anything here.
You talk about statistics. There's a man coming off his best statistical season ever. And they got him this time. Mike Barnes, the 8-year veteran out of Miami, and Big Greg Field, 79, were there, and Stabler goes down. First sack of the day for the Baltimore Colts.
First sack of the day for either team. You will remember that Mike Barnes 3 or 4 years ago was the best defensive lineman in the NFL. He suffered from knee injuries and shoulder injuries and back problems for the last 2 years. Now playing good football.
That's when they used to be the sack pack.
Correct. With John Dutton now of the Dallas Cowboys.
Now what do we do? Third down and 22. Stabler not quite so dangerous.
Let the coach call the play.
And he stays on the ground. To give to Carpenter as a flag is down. If it's against Houston, obviously Baltimore will take the football. And the indication preliminary is that it's against the Houston Oilers. Barry Krause is the man who made the stop, but the kick return team for the Baltimore Colts on the field. And referee Gordon McCarter tells us it's a legal procedure against Houston, declined by Baltimore. And number 25.
Offside, number 60, offense, declined, 4th down.
Had the wrong arm up there for a moment. Gordon's having a few problems today.
It's the one with the stone in it.
So Cliff Parsley back to punt to Nesby Glasgow. Parsley averaged just 28 yards, 3 punts against Cleveland. One, however, was not his fault. A bad snap from center by David Carter resulted in a 12-yard punt. He gets this one off. Good high punt. Drives Glasgow back to his 20. Fair catch right there. And luckily he did, because Carter Hartwig was right there. 47 yards, no return. Can't ask for a better performance by a punter. Next Saturday on NBC Sports, we invite you to join Major League Baseball, the Montreal Expos against the Philadelphia Phillies, or the Cincinnati Reds taking on the Houston Astros. It all starts at 2 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, check your local listings for the game and time in your area. And the West is still up for grabs. The East, Philadelphia, and Montreal.
That will be right here in the Astrodome, too, that Cincinnati-Houston game.
In fact, the Baltimore Colts will start this series from the pitcher's mound, folks. There are 5 dirt spots on the Astrodome floor, and they start this series from the pitcher's mound. Art Stringer making the stop on Curtis Dickey, the #1 draft choice out of Texas A&M, who's carried the ball 4 times for 2 yards.
So far, Burt Jones is not having a kind of Burt Jones day. He's 1 for 5 for 9 yards total. And there's Mike McCormick, the head coach, formerly a head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, but he has a lot more talent here in Baltimore. Greg Landry, hands on knees behind, who was the ace replacement for Burt Jones most of last season.
So Curtis Dickey with 5 yards before the home folks here in Texas. Former Texas A&M All-American and a world-class sprinter. Dickey brings it to the 40-yard line and was 1 man away from going all the way. Curtis Dickey, a first down to the 40-yard line. 15 on the carry. This young man was late in coming to camp, missed 38 practices at training camp. He was a contract holdout, then suffered a thigh injury in the preseason. But when he is right, he can break a football game wide open as the first quarter comes to an end. Houston 7, the Baltimore Colts nothing. Second quarter action from the Dome when we come back. We are told that Earl Campbell is experiencing problems with his groin, and perhaps will come back. He has not exactly run like he is not suffering from some sort of injury, Bob, thus far.
Of course, he missed the 4th quarter of the Cleveland game last week. Maybe that's it, but the Houston Oilers certainly need him.
From the 40-yard line, following Curtis Dickey's 15-yard dash, Jones throws it out in the flat. He's got a man wide open. It's Roger Carr, and they gain 6 or 7 on that. The coverage by J.C. Wilson, number 33, but a gain of 7. It'll be second down and 3 And that may be the entire thrust of the Baltimore offense today, trying to set up second and short for Burt Jones if they can.
I agree with you. What they must do is keep Houston out of that 5-back nickel situation. If they can do that, they can keep coming up with 2nd and 2 or 2nd and 3. They're in good shape. Joe Washington on the sideline now. Curtis Dickey getting his chance, as you said, Sam, in front of the hometown folks. This from A&M.
7-0 Houston. Carr split to the near side. Deep man in the back, in the eye was Dickey, and he almost gave it up. Greg Bingham is the man who made the stop. But Curtis Dickey apparently feeling good after a thigh injury held him back, and of course the contract holdout that we talked about gets the first down.
He is 6'1", 205 pounds, and he was drafted by the Baltimore Colts to possibly become a wide receiver. But because he came into camp so late, they had to run him at running back, and he is a world-class sprinter. Absolutely one of the fastest men there to ever be on the field.
And we are told that in 8 of 11 head-to-head confrontations with Lamb Jones, beat him dead.
He made Lamb Jones quit track at Texas.
From the 50-yard line. And again, it's Curtis Dickey trying to get outside. Brazil and races to the 43-yard line, and a flag is down as he raced out of bounds. Art Stringer and Greg Bingham. Oh, you can maybe hear from the wild microphone down on the sidelines the screams of cheap shot.
Well, they called it.
And it'll be a personal foul against the Houston Oilers, and that Baltimore bench is somewhat enraged.
There's really no reason for this, but I do think that at times a player loses track of exactly where the sideline is. And he is definitely out of bounds, and it is Stringer on the hit. And he is clearly 5 yards out of bounds. But I repeat, let's not be too critical of the player. At times you're so intense you lose track of the sideline.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 56, defense, hitting late, out of bounds. First down.
So while the Oiler partisans are not pleased with it, the Baltimore Colts have to be ecstatic. They have a first down at the Houston 28-yard line. The penalty walk-off gave Burt Jones a moment to head to the sidelines and chat with Mike McCormick. As you look at Art Stringer, and he's not that kind of football player, Bob, I agree.
No, as a matter of fact, though, he is, well, I'll tell you in a minute. Go ahead.
So Baltimore with their best scoring threat of the day, trailing 7-0. Early second quarter. It's Dickey again. Having a great afternoon here in the second quarter. Andy Doris wrapped his arms around him, but not before. Curtis Dickey picked up 5, and that front line is doing the job with Mendenhall at center, Pratt and Huff at the guards, Griffin and Coons at the tackles.
And if the Baltimore Colts have suffered from one weakness so far this season, it's a running game. And maybe with Mr. Dickey finding his sea legs, that's not bad stats. 5 carries for 34 yards. What I was going to tell you about Art Stringer, he has been injured so many times in the last 2 or 3 years just by playing with too much intensity. Pulled groin, popped a knee, messed up a shoulder, all because he plays too hard, in the words of Bub Phillips.
Flag is down. Dickey again.
Whoa.
Inside the 10 and dragged down as he reaches the 7 by Reinfeld and Perry. But that will be, barring a penalty against Baltimore, a first down and goal to go against the Colts.
Sam, let me tell you what Curtis Dickey does for that Baltimore offensive line. The same thing that Earl Campbell does for Houston. You don't have to be at 15 yards on that carry. You don't have to be any better a pass blocker.
Offside, number 65, defense, penalty decline, first down, goal to go.
As I was saying, on the offensive line, you don't have to be a better blocker. All you have to do is sustain your block for a lot less time because of his speed up through the hole. And all of a sudden, you're a great blocking offensive line.
6 carries, 50 yards for Curtis Dickey. He had only carried 4 times prior to this ballgame for 2 yards net. It's Dickey again. They got him this time. Stringer and Washington for about a 4-yard loss.
I wonder why. I wonder why 4 straight times up through the middle they gain yards and then go to the corner. Burt Jones calls his own plays, and he certainly knows the offense, but I wonder why he wouldn't go straight up the middle once again.
Don McCauley and Joe Washington come into the Baltimore backfield on a 2nd down and 13.
They got 5 backs in there, Houston does.
listen to this crowd. 7-0 Houston.
Blitz.
Jones looking in the end zone, throws it for Reese McCall, and he threw it out of the field to play. Intended for his big tight end, Reese McCall, a former #1 draft choice out of Auburn. And again, Jones had plenty of time. The offensive line, as Trumpy hollered, picked up the blitz very nicely.
But they're also in that situation that they do not want to be in there. Now 3rd and 12, and Houston is going to stay with that nickel defense. You see the designated pass rusher there, Jesse Baker, but Jones does have time to throw the ball. I'd look for a quarterback draw here because they got a 42 defense, no middle linebacker. Let's see what happens.
3rd down and goal to goal. They got the ball spotted midway between the 12 and 13-yard line. Jones will throw it again. And it's deflected at the line of scrimmage. Somebody got a hand on it. May have been Ken Kennard, number 71, the nose tackle. But with a 1st down and goal at the 9, Jones ends up with 4th down and goal at the 12 and a half. And on comes Steve Mickelmeyer to attempt to put Baltimore on the board.
Well, that's 2 mistakes they've made. One, the fumble, and now this one, not taking advantage of great field position on, the 12-yard line and not scoring. You can't beat Houston by missing chances like that.
So Greg Landry will hold for Steve Mickelmeyer at the 20-yard line. It'll be a 30-yard attempt by the 33-year-old older Mickelmeyer brother. His younger brother, Nick, still in Buffalo, so they're both gainfully employed.
Tough place to put the ball down here.
And he got it up and perfect. Steve Mickelmeyer has silenced the crowd here in Houston, at least for the time being. A 30-yard field goal as you look at Burt Jones on the sidelines. He couldn't do it on that particular occasion, but Sam Nover, Bob Trumpy, we are back in Houston. It is 7-3 Oilers at the moment following the field goal by Mickelmeyer. Let's quickly run some other scores just to keep you abreast. We'll do it right after the kickoff. Jeff Groth, 81. And Roach is in the deep receiving spot. It's Groth who gets the ball. And he's brought down as he reaches the 26-yard line by Sanders Shiver. So it'll be 1st down for Houston. He lost his helmet on the play. Here are some scores. Cincinnati giving Pittsburgh another rough afternoon. 14-13. The Steelers lead it at the half. Terry Bradshaw has thrown 2 touchdown passes in that one. 2nd quarter, Atlanta leads Miami 7-3. Bartkowski has a TD pass. Buffalo and New Orleans tied at 7. Ferguson to Frank Lewis for a touchdown. Chuck Muncie has run for New Orleans. 21-0. Minnesota over the Chicago Bears. That's in the 2nd quarter. Detroit leads St. Louis 10-7. That's 2nd quarter. From the 27-yard line, Houston leading 7-3, and Stabler goes to work. As a man wide open. Nesby Glasgow is the only man between Mike Barber and a Houston touchdown.
30 yards on that reception, and that's a defensive mistake. Obviously, totally uncovered. They ran that ace formation that people in Houston talk about with 2 tight ends, and Barber was absolutely scot-free. And Ken Stabler doesn't miss when that happens.
One other score, Cleveland has gone ahead of Kansas City 13-6. Charles White, the Heisman Trophy winner, has scored a touchdown. Brian Cyphers passed for another. But here, Houston is on the move again.
And Campbell's still out of the lineup, Sam.
And as we reported earlier, he's having groin problems. Play action. Stabler wants it all to White Shoes, and he overthrew him by 5 yards. Glasgow and Brazil had the coverage, and I think Kenny just wisely threw that one away. Holding is the call against the Houston Oilers, and Greg Fields is pleased about it, so it must be the man playing opposite Greg Fields, Bob.
Well, I don't think they're particular. They don't mind holding being called on anybody on the other team. I see Bob Young is in at offensive line now for the Houston Oilers.
Great pressure by the front 4 of the Baltimore Colts on that play.
Yeah, playing left guard. David Carter is having some knee problems, just snapping on punts.
Holding, number 76, offense, repeat 1st down.
That would be Morris Towns, who has replaced Conway Hayman at right tackle. Number 76, a 4-year veteran out of Missouri.
So the Oilers have a kind of a patchwork offensive line here. They don't really have 2 of their starters, Hayman out and David Carter out.
And Earl Campbell is watching from the sidelines. 1st and 20, Stabler to the air again.
Get upfield.
And another penalty marker is down in the Houston backfield.
And I think it's going to be on Leon Gray this time. He's the one who has his hands up in disgust, not me.
Well, ironically, Bob, it's the Baltimore Colts offensive line that had all sorts of difficulties with holding calls. They had 11 of them in the first 2 games, and Bum Phillips is not pleased with a second consecutive one against his offensive line. Although I don't know whether his anger is directed more at the official or his own players.
Well, probably the officials. Leon Gray, one of the finest offensive linemen there is in the business. And he's good enough that he really doesn't have to hold a player to keep him out. He is presently playing over Greg Fields.
Number 74, he should come in from the left of your screen.
Yeah, we can't really pick it up, but a good reception by Barber. And I stated earlier that Ken Stabler will make this kid all pro if he can stay healthy.
Holding, number 74, offense, repeat first down.
So it is now first down and 30 for Houston from their own 38-yard line.
That's no problem for Ken Stabler.
11:16 to go first half, 7-3 Oilers. The wide receiver screen to White Shoes. And he gets a little out of it as he races to the 45-yard line and dashes out of bounds.
That's another guy who has not played for the last 2 years. 2 knee surgeries. Like George Kuntz of the Baltimore Colts, kept White Shoes out. And 3 years ago, he was absolutely the most exciting football player there was in the NFL, including Walter Payton, including O.J. Simpson, and everybody else. This guy was a one-man wrecking crew for the Houston Oilers on punt returns, kickoff returns, and screens to the wide receiver like that.
Rob Carpenter, number 26, is a lone setback. 4 receivers in the pattern for Stabler. He throws it out here on a swing play to Carpenter. Gets away from one man, reaches the 50 into Baltimore territory and down to the 46. A great individual effort by the former Miami of Ohio star Rob Carpenter.
When Bum Phillips made the trade for Ken Stabler out of Oakland and gave up Dan Pastorini, this is what he got. A quarterback who will use every person on the field to get the ball into the end zone. He has one of the best sight lines on the football field of any quarterback that has ever played. He is very seldom ruffled. Pressured, yes, but he knows where everybody is. He knows all parts of the offense, and he'll throw it to anybody.
Third down, 15 from the 45 of Baltimore. The nickel defense, meaning 5 defensive backs now for Baltimore. They take Simonini out. Renfro in motion, and Stabler directly back to pass. And he has his arm hit. It's intercepted by Baltimore. Joe Ehrman at the 37-yard line of the Houston Oilers. That ball was batted in the air, and Ehrman came down with it. And the Colts with a great break.
And that's exactly the break they needed. They've been playing good defense all day long. And that's exactly, you see everybody coming. Simonini untouched. Wilson tries to block him, and I can't really see who grabbed a hold of his arm. But anyway, Baltimore has the ball as Joe Ehrman turns fullback.
It may have been Barry Krause who hit his arm. We'll be back in a moment. Yeah, don't forget our baseball leads up to our coverage of the World Series here on NBC. Here's Ehrman's first ever interception, Bob.
Yeah, and I said it was Ed Simonini in there. It was Barry Krause, 55. Shivers blitzing along with Krause, and Ehrman turns rebounder and his first ever interception.
Great hands from the 37-yard line of Houston. Baltimore now with a chance to take the lead. Curtis Dickey has been the sensational one. He breaks a tackle to the outside. And he's off to the races. Out of bounds as he reaches the 15-yard line. J.C. Wilson and Vernon Perry. But Curtis Dickey is having a most auspicious day before his friends in Houston, Texas.
And we began this football game by bringing to your attention 2 procedure penalties by George Kuntz. Well, he made up for it there, pal. He absolutely annihilated Andy Doris, sealed the corner, and Curtis Dickey in a foot race to the sideline for 24 yards.
You know, Dickey is one of 9 Baltimore Colts who have come home today, and there is nothing that would please them more than to beat the Oilers. Lyle Blackwood, Larry Brazile, Raymond Butler, Curtis Dickey, Cleveland Franklin, Derek Hatchett, Jim Kroll, Simonini, Joe Washington. They all have their roots here in Texas. Jones has it batted back in his face. May have been number 67, Mike Stensrud, second-year man out of Iowa State. And when I say man, I mean man at 6'5", 285.
Yeah, it appears that Houston is doing something different here. They're not really trying to rush the quarterback. but it appears that they're going in maybe 4 or 5 yards, stop, hands up. This has happened twice now to Burt Jones, and they're trying to pressure the quarterback. But watch Kennard in the middle stop, and I don't think you can see, and then they all get their hands up. They're not trying to get to the quarterback, it doesn't appear. They're just trying to stop there and get their hands up, make it difficult for him to throw over.
It's an excellent observation. McCauley and Washington in the backfield now. Jones, a little swing pass to Joe Washington at the 10. And out of bounds as he reaches the 5-yard line or thereabouts. He'll be shy of a first down. It'll be 3rd down and short now for Baltimore. But a little swing pass, and Baltimore did nothing to disguise that. They just had Washington isolated on a linebacker and tried to get him a running start.
I love Burt Jones, always with a smile on his face. No matter what happens. The Rustin rifle, last year called the Rusty rifle. But if he's healthy, Baltimore's tough. Look at Joe Ward. Look at that acceleration. George Kuhn's out in front. Good tackle by J.C. Wilson. Nevertheless, 3rd down and about 3.5 yards to go. Is McCauley in the ball game? Yes, he is. Watch for McCauley.
Big play for Baltimore, trailing 7-3. Midway through 2nd quarter, Jones back to pass in the end zone, in the hands of McCauley and dropped. Jack Tatum had the coverage. The former Oakland Raider who has 2 interceptions in the first 2 games for the Houston Oilers, but the Oiler defense stiffens again, and now Steve Mickemeyer will be called upon to kick his 2nd field goal. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KPRC TV, Channel 2, Houston.
Welcome back to the 8th wonder of the world. Isn't that what they called it when they first built it? The Houston Astrodome. Sam Nover and Bob Trumpy. We have an outstanding football game. Steve Mickemeyer will attempt a 24-yard field goal out of Greg Landry's hold. It is up, and it is good.
Sam, that is 6 points now for Baltimore, but that is also 2 missed opportunities for the Colts to be on top of the Houston Oilers.
However, they have crawled back to within 1. They trail the Oilers by 1 at the Astrodome. We'll be right back. The young man doesn't have all of his concentration on this football game today. You'll excuse him. His wife is in labor at this very moment, we are told, in a Houston hospital, I surmise, Bob.
About to give birth to their first child, somewhat reminiscent of our producer Peter Rolfe 2 weeks ago.
Wasn't that marvelous? In fact, he missed our game.
Yes, he did.
Well, he was where he should have been. This is Carl Roaches. Shy of the 20, squirms out of a pack to the 21-yard line.
Squirms, I like that. Squirms.
It's about what he did. Little Carl Roaches is an exciting football player. 26-year-old rookie dropped by Lyle Blackwood after a 19-yard return. So we all here at NBC pass along our congratulations to Tim Smith and his wife on what we hope will be a happy and healthy baby, whatever, boy or girl.
At least one.
It's got to be, huh?
That's right.
Yeah. From the 21-yard line, the Oilers' lead is now 1, but as Bob pointed out a moment ago, Baltimore could very well be leading this game.
Barber again.
He's wide open. Same play they did 5 minutes ago. And at that time, Barber was wide open. What's going on here, Bob? Who are they beating back there?
Well, I think it's a zone, and all Barber's doing is finding the seam. I do think he's supposed to be covered by an inside-outside combination with Brazil and the weak safety Glasgow. Neither one is doing their job, but it's very seldom, 45 yards on that reception, it's very seldom that you can come back to the same play in almost the same situation and almost have the same result.
Well, before this game, Kenny Stabler not completed a pass of over 24 yards, but that one went for 45. And just like that, Houston is almost in field goal range for Tony Fritsch. Tim Wilson, the ball carrier. Campbell is still not back. He is having recurring groin problems. Carried the ball a couple of times in the first quarter without much success and has not returned.
The groin muscle on the inside part of the thigh, and it's the muscle that helps your leg rotate in and out and also pull it up to run. And it is very, very painful when you pull it. It's part of the thigh muscle. And as heavily legged as he is, heavily muscled as he is in the legs, you can imagine he's in a little discomfort.
2nd down and 5. The ball spotted at the 32 of Baltimore. Carpenter with a first down and more inside the 25. And at the moment, Houston doesn't look to be needing Earl Campbell.
Sam, in a first first two games the Oilers have played this year, they've been without any sort of a big play, with the exception of the pass from Earl Campbell to Billy White Shoes Johnson. Today, Mike Barber, with those two big pass receptions, have been two big plays. 8 yards on that carry, and Houston once again eating up the clock and controlling the ball offensively.
Just inside the 25-yard line of Baltimore. So Stabler, again, has set his team up for points with that great pass to Barber. Stabler, play action. Looks downfield, throws it. First down and goal to go. The Houston Oilers, Derek Hatchett had the coverage on Billy White Shoes Johnson, but Stabler found him in a mess there.
That's another characteristic of a Ken Stabler offense. 20 yards on the reception, and Kenny likes to hit them when they're standing still. Go down 25 yards, come back 5, and I'll hit you. He does that very well. He's done that for years.
I said he hit him in a mess, Bob, because there were a lot of people down there, a lot of humanity.
But Johnson comes back to the quarterback.
Only one setback. It's Rob Carpenter. He's hit at the line of scrimmage and pushed back as he reaches the 3. Simonini, 56, was there. And I think Heinzreiter, number 58, former Notre Dame star, as they go to the 4 linebacker set up on defense, it'll be second down and goal to go, and let's see where they mark the football. Simonini calling the defensive signals, looking for some help. 7-6, Houston threatening to go in again.
It would certainly help Baltimore to keep them to 3 points right here. Because with Earl Campbell out, 6 minutes left in the first half. Long way from over.
Full house backfield for the Houston Oilers as you look from behind the Baltimore defense. Play action. That one was almost too easy.
Ken Stabler is absolutely a master at that. Absolutely a master. Running motion away. Castro out there standing all by himself. Wow. That's 3. Sam, that is 3 total defensive breakdowns for the Baltimore Colts that have really hurt them today.
So Tony Fritsch out of Gifford Nielsen's hold will attempt to make it 14-6. And some movement in the offensive line. Referee Gordon McCarter has moved in.
Stick him on the ball.
They have thrown that one out, so you're probably right, partner.
Centers don't like that stick 'em when they got to have a long snap. They want the ball clean.
Tony Fritsch is just an amazing place kicker. He puts this one up and right through the uprights. Flag is down. A flag is down. The head linesman talking with referee Gordon McCarter here. And let's see what this one is all about. You know, it was said in a recent television broadcast by some of our colleagues at another network that Tony Fritsch doesn't have range outside the 40-yard line. I think that's a bunch of hogwash. This young man...
Illegal formation. Kicking team.
So they'll have to do...
Illegal formation. The right end on offense was not up on the line of scrimmage. Repeat the try for point.
All right. Sometimes the place kickers like that extra point back 5 or 10 yards. Let's see if it affects Fritsch. It is still 13-6. This has been forever. And Tony gets that one. He nails it. So after the delay and the penalty, Fritsch does it twice. 14-6 Oilers. the ball at the 40-yard line. And let's see who gets off the football. I don't know how White Shoes ever let it get away. Number 56, Ed Simonini.
Oh, man.
Johnson hardly seemed to be touched at all, Bob.
That was the same play where they had thrown to Mike Barber before. Johnson, the underneath man. Finally, Baltimore covered that play, and a big break here. 2:02 left in the first half. If they can get, they got to get a touchdown. They got to get a touchdown in this half. No more of these field goals.
Burt Jones from his own 40-yard line. Nickel defense by Houston, 5 defensive backs. As Carter Hartwig joins the regular 4 back there. And Jones stays on the ground, and Joe Washington to the 44-yard line. Brazil is the man on top. And we have reached the 2-minute warning. So Jones has all of his timeouts left. He is 56 yards away from a touchdown. It'll move him to within a point of Houston. We'll return to the Astrodome in just a moment. Left in the first half. Sam Nover and Bob Trumpy, welcome back again to the Astrodome. It's 14-6 Oilers. If you joined us late, Earl Campbell a 1-yard run, Kenny Stabler a 3-yard patch to Richard Castor, Steve Mickemeyer a couple of short field goals for the Colts. But Baltimore and their quarterback Burt Jones have struggled offensively. His statistics, wow, revealing to say the least, Bob.
Not very impressive, and most of those passes have been against that 5-man defense of the Houston Oilers. And we said at the top of the show, in the last 2 years, teams have only completed 30% of their passes. 11-man rush by Houston.
Sticky defense, they call it here in Houston. 11 men on the defensive line. Jones still on his feet, and he's buried. Flag is down at the 40-yard line. Jones got caught in what the Houston Oilers like to refer to as the sticky defense. It's only good once or twice a game.
Actually, it's not sticky for the Oilers. It's sticky for the other side.
It is indeed. There is a discussion. A flag went down.
I'm sure what Baltimore was trying to do with great speed in the person of Roger Carr.
Illegal use of the hands, illegal contact, number 32 defense.
Whoa.
Holding, number 62 offense. Penalties are nullified. Still second down.
And so Ken Huff and Vernon Perry offsetting penalties. They came with about 7, I think, on that rush.
Only 7?
Yep. Didn't come with all 11. They dropped 4 back into coverage and still did some damage, didn't they?
Vernon Perry obviously keeping contact with that receiver more than 5 yards down the field, which is now a new rule in the NFL. So much for the sticky defense. It works when you don't have penalties. 1:54
to go, and Jones, I again remind you, has all of his timeouts left. 14-6 Houston. It has been a great football game. The Colts have been down deep twice, but had to settle for field goals. Jones intercepted by Houston. No, dropped by Stemrick. And a badly thrown pass, ill-advised by Burt Jones again, and Stemrick almost made a great interception.
What's he going to do, though? Once again, that 5-man defensive backfield, he was pressured. Nobody to throw it to. The Colts only have generated 125 yards in the first half so far. 4-man rush up front. And I think he just flat runs out of time and throws it low to try to avoid the interception.
I think it's safe to say that defensive coordinator Ed Biles gave his team an excellent game plan against Burt Jones today.
Here we go.
The only thing they didn't plan on was Curtis Dickey.
Here we go.
11 of them lined up. They fall back off again. Jones throws it downfield. He's got a man open. It's complete. The number 80 of the Baltimore Colts, Raymond Butler. The rookie from Southern California, J.C. Wilson made the stop. There's a penalty marker down, but the indication is it's against
Pass
Houston.
Interference, number 32 defense, first down.
Big play for Burt Jones.
Well, Sam, you were very prophetic. You said it only works once. 22 yards on the reception.
So Vernon Perry having some difficulty. He was the culprit on the play before that. Defensive holding. This time interference, although they will take the play, and the completion to Raymond Butler. And a first down, and the Colts now at the 34 of Houston.
Well run by Butler, too, realizing that Jones is in trouble, coming back for the ball, terminating the up pattern.
3 wide receivers. Randy Burke comes in. Reese McCall is out. Jones with all of his offensive weapons. Looking for a little time to throw it. Fires it to McCauley at the 31-yard line. And Greg Bingham had the coverage. Baltimore, I believe, has stopped the clock. They have used a timeout here with 1:33 to play in the half.
Okay, I'm sure Houston will stay with their nickelback defense here. So Bert's got to come up with something that so far in the day has not worked against that nickel configuration. They've had very little success. I would imagine that the best success that you might have is over the middle against that defense.
Well, while they talk it over, we will do the same. Bert Jones' stats improving by leaps and bounds in the Astrodome. He would like to put 7 on the board, and he's got 1:33 in which to do it. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. Bert Jones, one last word from his backup quarterback, Greg Landry, the 13-year veteran out of Massachusetts.
Plenty of time here, plenty of time. It cannot be impatient in this situation, and I repeat, I think the Baltimore Colts have got to get in the end zone. They cannot miss 3 opportunities.
I agree. Raymond Butler goes wide right. Carr to the left. They slot Randy Burke. Jones with all day to throw it. Got a completed man at the 20-yard line. Butler got free to the 15 and dragged down by Vernon Perry, the strong safety, number 32. But it'll be a first down again for the Baltimore Colts. They are not only in range now for Mickemeyer.
I appreciate Raymond Butler's effort to get more yards, but the most important thing in that situation was for him to get out of bounds. And Baltimore has now used another timeout. Once again, a young man out of USC, a rookie, but look at the power that Bert Jones has in his arm. He is obviously healthy. Should have gone out of bounds right there. You don't fight for inches. You try to save seconds, and all that running, he gained an additional 1.5 yards.
He had a couple of catches against the Steelers last Sunday, one of them a 15-yard touchdown catch, but he was far and away the most exciting offensive weapon during the preseason. 13 catches for the Baltimore Colts, 4 of them for touchdowns. And as I said earlier, Raymond Butler reminds a lot of people of John Stallworth of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that ain't bad.
No, it's not.
1:21 to go in the half. And Jones, having chatted on the sidelines with Mike McCormick and Greg Landry, and I would think, Bob, that Landry probably gives him as much input as anybody in the sidelines.
I would think so. I agree with you totally. Yes, Landry's been around for an awful long time. First-round draft choice about 100 years ago for the Detroit Lions.
Here's Jones back to pass. The rush is on by Brazil, and down he goes.
Huddle him up.
They did not pick up the blitzing linebacker, Robert Brazil.
The clock is stopped because of the sack inside the 2-minute warning, but Brazil untouched. And let's give credit to Eddie Biles and the Houston Oilers for a good defensive call. Nobody saw him. And I think that's the responsibility of one of the inside offensive linemen to pick that backside linebacker up. Now they're in trouble. 2nd and 16.
Again, 3 wide receivers, 2 split backs for Bert Jones. Little fly to Roger Carr, and it's broken up by Stemrick.
Great play.
An outstanding defensive play by Greg Stemrick, who stayed with the fleet Roger Carr. So it's now 3rd down and 17. And Houston's defense has stiffened again in this same area for a 3rd time. They have had to settle for 2 Steve Mickemeyer field goals.
The sticky defense. It's a good idea to throw it up, but Stemrick gets his head around just in time to see the football, or it might have been a reception. Now they're in real trouble. Well, if you're head coach Mike McCormick, do you go for the 3 points?
Well, it's 3rd down.
Yeah, but if they don't pick up the 1st down, do you go for the 3 points, or do you try to get it in the end zone?
You just hope they score 6 on this play. That's all. You don't have to worry about a 4th down decision. Jones with good protection this time. Throws it to the corner, and it's batted away.
Yes,
interference against J.C. Wilson, I believe.
Vernon Perry. I thought that. I guess it was J.C. Wilson.
Number 33, J.C. Wilson, the former University of Pittsburgh star. The fans don't like it. I think we'd have to look at it again.
I'll tell you what he did. He had his right hand out in front of the receiver, had his left hand on the back of the receiver. That was a good call by the official.
Here it is, Bob.
Let's see if we can pick it up. Watch his left hand, where it is on the back of the receiver. If it's on the back of the receiver. Well, you can't really tell.
Well, we got there too late on that one.
Yeah, can't really tell.
But the official apparently saw something in his first down and goal to go at the 9-yard line of the Houston Oilers. And with 50,000 megaphones in evidence as part of an Oiler giveaway, it is an incredibly boisterous crowd here in the Dome.
Houston still with the 5 backfield.
Jones, good protection, looks in the corner and throws it away. They had double coverage on the outside receiver, number 81, Roger Carr. And Jones wisely threw it away. I don't know how his teammates can ever hear him call the signals in this sequence.
Sam, I don't want to question what Mike McCormick is doing here, but his best running back in the first half has been Derek Hatchett, and their best play has been the sweep.
Curtis Dickey.
Excuse me, Curtis Dickey. Why wouldn't they put him in there?
There he is, right there.
Standing on the sideline. I don't know.
I think you're right. He gives them another dimension.
Houston now back to the standard 34 defense. No, still the 5 defensive backs. Still the 5 defensive backs.
Second down, goal to go. Jones in the end zone. Dragged down at the 12-yard line. Andy Doris, number 69, wrapped his arms around him.
3rd sack for the Houston Oilers. And Baltimore has not played this situation very well at all. You got a 4-man rush. Stensrud is doing a great job. He just ran over.
Yeah, we gave it to Doris. Give the credit to Stensrud. Back live, 3rd down and goal. In the end zone, he's got a man! No, tipped around and almost intercepted. Stemrick left Raymond Butler open for a split second, but he closed, I'll tell you. There is a great cornerback, Greg Stemrick. And the Oilers have held again.
Well, the headlines in the paper in Baltimore tomorrow will probably be missed opportunities. That's 4 in the first half.
So Steve Mickemeyer is on to attempt his 3rd field goal of the quarter. The Colts have been down here the entire second quarter, and they are going to try to come away now with their 3rd field goal. It'll be a 29-yard attempt by Mickemeyer out of Greg Landry's hole. He's been good from 30 and 24 yards, and this one is up, and it is also good. And so, with 14 seconds to go in the half, it is 14-9 Houston. Played well in scoring situations against them.
And they're also playing without Earl Campbell. I wonder if he'll come back the second half. I don't think we can count the Colts out. They have moved the ball very well against Houston. If you give them a little psychological edge, Mike McCormick gets them in at halftime. No telling what might happen.
Well, they have had some key sacks in this game. The Oilers had only 2 in their first 2 games, but they have had 3 already in the first half of this ball game. Jeff Groth and Carl Roaches in the deep receiving spots for the Oilers. As you look at Steve Mickemeyer, 33 years old. 14 seconds to go. A squib kick. Fumbled by one of the up men out of bounds.
Houston's ball right there.
Tim Smith at about the 32 or 33-yard line.
Thinking about his wife in labor, maybe.
I can understand it.
Well, let's hope the doctor doesn't drop the ball the way he did. Sorry, Tim. Best of luck to you, pal.
Yes, indeed. Well, it didn't hurt the ball club, and that's the important thing at this point. From the 26-yard line, the Oilers, let's see whether they elect to run the clock out or Stabler wants to go long a couple of times here. In 12 seconds, they say he's a master of the clock, but I'd like to see him work the field in 26 seconds, or in 12 seconds.
Nah.
Stays on the ground. And Carpenter with a big gainer up to the 37-yard line. And do they stop the clock? They do indeed. There's an injury timeout. A Baltimore Colt is down.
Mike Barnes.
Yeah, he's played a great first half. No, Houston stops the clock with 4 seconds to go in the half.
Well, we've just been given a report, too, that Burt Jones has a broken nose.
I wonder if that came in the recent sack by Stensrud.
Yeah, but I want to tell you something about Burt Jones. I don't think that will bother him one iota. He is one of the toughest quarterbacks there is to play the game.
Burt Jones on the Baltimore sidelines has a half to heal. And as Bob just mentioned, we've been informed he doesn't look. Yeah, he sure does. A broken nose. Will he return and play with a broken nose?
You want my opinion?
Well, I'm looking at you.
Yes, he will.
Yes.
Yes, he will.
Earl Campbell, if you have joined us late for any reason, out with a recurring groin problem. Ran the ball a couple of times in the first quarter, has not been back. Stabler's last play of the half. To White Shoes, it's intercepted by Baltimore. Nesby Glasgow still on his feet. A flag is down. Glasgow to go all the way. They pushed him out of bounds at the 1-yard line.
They got a clip back here on Baltimore at the 42. It's not going to count.
What a way to end the half.
78 yards on the return, and they got a clip at the 42-yard line.
Look at it again.
And I believe the clip is on. I don't know who did it, but I think Morris Towns was the guy clipped right there.
Oh, look at him get through that little wedge.
He also stepped out of bounds.
Well, the half is ended nonetheless. Well, we've had a little bit of everything, as they say in the business. Not enough of the Derek Dolls, but a little bit of everything else.
That's why that ball is pointed.
14-9 Houston. Another great capacity crowd of 50,000 plus waving their blue and white pom-poms and screaming through their blue megaphones. The Houston Oilers love 'em blue. They do here in Houston, and they lead it 14-9 at half. The stats that Bob and I talked about.
Two things to notice on that stats. Coming into the game, everybody conceded that Baltimore could not run the football. Look at that stat for Baltimore running the football. Most by Curtis Dickey, and the yards passing not even close to being up to par for Burt Jones. But the 4 missed opportunities, I think, are the thing that may take its toll. If Baltimore can come back and just take advantage of one opportunity in the second half, I think we got a new ball game, because Earl Campbell, I do not think, will come back in the second half. When you pull a muscle or aggravate a muscle pull, when you sit down for a quarter and a half, it gets cold and it gets stiff, and I don't think he can come back. His shirt tail is out.
I was going to just say, he better tuck his shirt in, or he'll come in for a $250 fine like his teammates David Carter and Carl Mock did last week.
I would be very surprised if Earl Campbell came back, so Houston's got to do something.
All right. Question for you.
Yes.
Oilers have deployed and are awaiting the kick of Steve Mickemeyer, Jeff Groth, number 81, and Carl Roaches, 85, in the deep receiving spots. We have just heard that Cincinnati has gotten a field goal from Ian Sutter, and they have gone ahead of the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-28 in the fourth quarter. The rest of that game and all the rest of them around the NFL. In Cincinnati, Bob and I did that game last year in Cincinnati. The Steelers turned it over 9 times and lost 34-10. But I guess we weren't good enough to do it again this year, Bob. There's a touchback by Roaches, and Houston will begin at the 20-yard line. And all the noise, I believe, is for Earl Campbell. Nope.
Not for Earl Campbell. I think, who was that guy? Ojo. Who was Ojo?
I don't know who it is. Well, that was enough noise to bring on Earl Campbell, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, I guarantee you.
Oh, it's the Pittsburgh score they're reacting to.
Yes.
Well, we're a little dense. There's the give now to Carpenter. Good hold to the 30-yard line. I think we're a little sluggish, Trumpy. Took us a little while to realize what they're reacting to. They have just put the score up on the board, 30-28, Cincinnati.
Look at that Tim Wilson blocking on Barry Krause and actually tackling him, but nevertheless Carpenter up through for 11 yards, quick yards. And look out, White Shoes.
Carpenter's had an outstanding ball game in relief of Campbell.
He usually does.
Yes.
He's a very unheralded running back.
Mike Renfro split wide to the left. Billy White Shoes Johnson to the right. From the 30. And the give is to the big back Wilson. And he gets a couple of yards to about the 32 or 33-yard line. Tim Wilson, I mentioned, averages but 3.5 carries a game And he's, what, carried it 6 or 7 times already today.
At least, Sam, for Baltimore's sake, it is absolutely essential that they stop this initial drive of the Houston Oilers, get their offense back on the field. And whenever adjustments Mike McCormick and his staff may have made it first at halftime, hopefully the Baltimore Colts offense can get back in the game.
This is a pretty good offense. They, through 2 games, are number 2 in the AFC against the rush. They got to shut him down now. Mike Ostowski playing defensive right end, number 71. And a delay to Wilson. Big yardage, first down. Sanders Shiver got there a little bit late, as did number 25, Nesby Glasgow, who's been all over the field.
14 yards on that carry. You have no idea what this will do for the Houston Oilers. Playing without Earl Campbell in a very tough game against a very good defense in the Baltimore Colts. If Tim Wilson can continue to carry the ball like that, that's going to help him an awful lot. He's now 7 carries for 51 yards on the day, Sam.
He's had some day. First down again, and the Oilers keep moving the sticks in Kenny Stabler's ball control offense. 14-9. Look at this, Carpenter to the 45 of Baltimore. He'll be very close to another first down. Karl Mock leading the way with a brilliant block. We got to look at this. Simonini is getting blown out here in the middle.
Well, I do think he overcommits to one side and breaks back behind him. Let's see what happens. Mock just straight ahead.
They buried him that time.
Just engages him.
Hooking him a little bit, too, I think. That's part of the game.
Okay, we've just heard from the truck that Earl Campbell's groin muscle pull is still bothering him and will probably not play again today.
However, he is dressed if needed. He has tucked his shirt tails in. 2nd and 1. Wilson with a first down to the 40-yard line. And the Oilers are finding gaping holes in that Baltimore front. Number 58, Steve Heimkreider, a 4th linebacker, is a man who made the stop. Joe Ehrman has come out. And on almost every play, the Baltimore defense is either bringing in a 4th linebacker or bringing one out.
Straight ahead blocking by the Houston Oilers.
They're not confusing anybody, are they?
No, they are not. It's just man on man. As Bum Phillips said, football's an easy game. You got 11 guys, they push. The other team pushes back. The one that pushes hardest wins.
Herb Orvis has come on for Baltimore. He's playing injured. Stabler dumps it out here to Tim Wilson. 35, 30, runs over people to the 29. Brazil finally knocked him down, but he is a real horse. Tim Wilson, oddly enough, while not carrying the ball very much last year, was Houston's 2nd leading receiver with 29 catches. And
I would imagine he's enjoying Earl Campbell being off the field. He gets a chance to shine.
Agreed.
Because when Earl Campbell comes back, all he does is block linebackers. 11 yards on that catch and run. Another first down, Houston. That's now 18 first downs on the day to 7 for Baltimore.
They are in range for Tony Fritsch now if needed. Stabler with another first down, the 4th consecutive first down in this drive. Another impressive statistical day for Kenny Stabler. Deep handoff to Carpenter. Look at him break tackles to the 23-yard line. Picking up 7 hard yards.
Impressive.
Here's our first final of the day. The Detroit Lions are for real. They have beaten the St. Louis Cardinals 20-7. Billy Sims 1 touchdown, a 13-yard run. But the Lions are undefeated. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KPRC TV, Channel 2, Houston.
Sam Nover and Bob Trumpy in Houston. 14-9 ball game with 10:02 to go 3rd quarter. And the Oilers are marching again.
And the Colts need a turnover right now.
The Oilers lead by 5. Carpenter to the 17-yard line. Well, our good friends and colleagues Don Criqui and John Brody have a great ball game in Cincinnati as you look at a replay again. 2:25 to go in the ball game. Cincinnati 30, Pittsburgh 28. There is still time for Bradshaw, however.
Is that possible? Wait a minute. Don't show your colors now, Sam.
Who did you play for, sir?
I'm not mentioning anything about the Cincinnati Bengals.
You know, oddly enough, getting back to this game, and this is far more important to our viewers at the moment, Stabler, I don't believe, has thrown but once to Wilson in this whole drive. Wilson to the 9-yard line. And the Colts try to push him back. They may allow Nope, the 10-yard line is where they'll spot the ball. It'll be a little shy of a first down.
Sam, the Houston Oilers have now had the ball for the first 6 minutes of the second half and absolutely run up and down the field over every spot over the Baltimore Colts, and that's exactly what Mike McCormick wanted to avoid.
Here's another final. The Cleveland Browns have won their first game of the year. They defeated Kansas City today 20-13. Ryan Sipe, a couple of touchdown passes in that one. Carpenter to the 5, still on his feet, to the 2-yard line, falling to the 1 and maybe the goal line. What an outstanding running series for the Houston Oilers. This has been
awesome. Absolutely awesome.
It's also been impressive.
Yeah, at least both of those. And give credit mostly to the guys up front. Carl Mott, Morris Towns, Conway Heyman, if he's playing, David Carter, Bob Young, Leon Gray, and let's not forget Tim Wilson. Look at that block. Wilson now 7 carries, 64 yards. Carpenter 14 for 86.
Well, this has already been far and away Tim Wilson's greatest day as a runner in professional football since coming out of Maryland. First and goal. Carpenter, touchdown. I don't know. Our director, Jim Cross, and producer Peter Ralph had the camera in the right spot, but I'd like to see it again. I don't know if he broke the plane of the end zone.
Sam, there's only one thing I got to tell you. Whether you know or not doesn't make any difference.
I understand that.
Robust team.
Can't see it from that way.
Well, it looks like he made it over the line. Besides, are you going to go down there and argue with him?
No.
Okay, then it's a touchdown, Sam, for the Houston Oilers.
Well, they certainly have earned it, I'll tell you that.
Okay.
They've had a great drive. Tony Fritz trying to tack on the 21st point. Nielsen to hold it. Placement. Kick is up and perfect. You notice Tony Fritz doesn't just make the extra points. He puts it right in the middle. I mean, when they talk about splitting the uprights, my goodness, Mr. Fritz is the best. This has been a most enjoyable day for Houston Oilers fans. Not only is their team winning, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are losing. Nesby Glasgow, 25 into a pile, and down he goes. Well, he hit somebody like a rock.
I think it was Coleman.
Ronnie Coleman, number 47. I don't know that he's known for his hard tackling, but he certainly met Glasgow head-on after a 17-yard return.
I would say, in general, running backs are not known for their tackling.
Ooh, Glasgow is still a little wobbly. Being helped off. That young man has run a little bit today. One return of an interception that did not count, however, 78 yards. Nullified by a penalty. And now Burt Jones has got to get his team in motion. Curtis Dickey trying to get outside. Breaks a tackle, gets back to the line of scrimmage, and down he goes. And they're all there. Bingham, 54. Elvin Buffet, 65.
And here comes the 5 defensive backs immediately. They are not letting up. They are not going to give Baltimore any opportunity. They're going with the defense that's been best to them all day long.
It is now final. The Cincinnati Bengals have beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-28. The biggest upset of the day. Mr. Trumpy is standing, looking for his jersey number 84, folks. Well, congratulations, Robert. Your former teammates did a job today, didn't they? Not much there at all. Ken Kennard and Jesse Baker. Listen to the crowd react to the final score on the Pittsburgh game. Well, I bet Bum Phillips is smiling.
So now Houston, if they win this game, and Pittsburgh are 1-1 in the AFC Central Division. Excuse me, 2-1 each.
This crowd is going absolutely crazy. They have dedicated their entire year to beating Pittsburgh here in Houston. You wanted to talk about that, too. Here's Jones. say the Oilers are fired up.
I don't imagine the Baltimore Colts were very happy to hear that score because they knew that all of a sudden a chill would probably go through the Houston Oilers defensive lineman, and that's the 4th sack of the day for the Oilers. Yes, thank you very much.
So Mike Bragg is standing at his own 5-yard line, and he will punt it to Carlo Roaches. And the Oilers should have excellent field position after this one. It is 21-9 Houston. And they will have the ball back again. Roaches at his 43, looking for a block, trying to get outside. He got outside. Excellent return by Roaches, all the way down to the Baltimore 36-yard line.
Uh-oh. If you're from Baltimore, uh-oh.
If you're from Pittsburgh, uh-oh. 21-9. So the Oilers, they stepped out of bounds back at the 41-yard line. So Stabler goes to work again. Play action. Greg Fields, they've got him, and down he goes way back at the Houston 46. Greg Fields ran right over Leon Gray, and Mike Barnes picked up the scraps.
3rd sack by the Baltimore Colt defensive line so far today, and Baltimore obviously not giving up. You'll see just a straight 4-man pass rush. Barnes gets by the guard. Fields is in there first to flush him, and the snake goes down.
Late in the game, San Francisco 37, the New York Jets 27. Not much time left in that one.
Wow.
The 49ers will be 3-0.
The Jets have really come back, though.
But they're 0-3 after this one is over. And Ralph Manersh, who was a subject of a feature on our pregame show, a 53-yard field goal. San Diego leads Denver 3-0. That's early on. Delay of game, perhaps, against Kenny Stabler here.
Too much time.
5 defensive backs employed by Baltimore on 2nd and 21 as Simonini comes out and Reggie Pinckney is in.
I'm sure that Mike McCormick and the Baltimore Colts coaching staff hope that their 5-man defensive backfield works as well as Houston's has today.
Delay of game, offense, still 2nd down.
Joe Ferguson has thrown his 2nd touchdown pass to Frank Lewis. Buffalo now leads New Orleans 21-19. And don't forget, next Sunday on NBC Sports, week number 4, NFL 80 starts your day. Another edition of Pete Exum's commentary. Update of the New England player holdout situation. A look at the last man in the draft. Join Bryant Gumbel for all of that. 12:30 Eastern Time. Well, that was a classic example of how Kenny Stabler likes his receivers to come back to the football. He doesn't like moving targets. They're coming back, and they're more stationary.
There is no way that any defense can stop this pass, too. You'll see him hesitate. Now he sees him turn around. He throws it about 4 yards short, and look at Johnson coming back. He doesn't pick up enough yardage for the 1st down, but he makes sure that there's no interception, and it is an easy reception, 10 yards on it.
3rd down and 16. The ball spotted on the Baltimore 47-yard line. And the Oilers, with a 21-9 lead, could put this one safely away with another touchdown. Over the middle. Caught by Renfro, but not enough for the 1st down. Boy, he caught that one in heavy traffic. Well, the Miami Dolphins have come back. Don Strock, a pass to Ron Lee. Uwe von Schamann, 27-yard field goal. The Dolphins lead Atlanta 2017. And our second final. Minnesota has clobbered the Chicago Bears 34-14 in Chicago.
Wow.
4th down, Nesby Glasgow awaiting the punt from Cliff Parsley. 3:21 to go on a moving clock here in the 3rd quarter. So the Colts will get it back again. And he's aiming for the corner. Parsley with a good punt. Soft spot on the field was, didn't he? He put that right by the dugout during the baseball season. 33 yards and out of bounds. We'll be back in a moment. Well, the Baltimore Baltimore Colts hope to come back. They are not starting from a very enviable position.
This ball looks like it's got eyes, and Houston Oiler eyes, on the 2.5-yard line.
Cliff Parsley's punt has put Burt Jones in deep trouble here. Got another final for you. I'll give it to you after this play. Burt Jones from his own end zone. Throws the home run ball to Raymond Butler. Oh, he had it right in his hands. Oh, my goodness. Jones put that one right on the money. And Butler, look at the eyes. He can't believe it.
Oh, man, I'm telling you. Laces up on the right foot just the way the coaches draw it up. He made up amazing ground on this, too. He was well behind this ball. Jones puts full trajectory on it. Should have been caught, but running that hard, it may have been just slightly touched by J.C. Wilson. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt. Change the trajectory of the ball slightly, eh?
San Francisco has beaten the New York Jets 37-27. The Rams lead Green Bay 7-0. And a couple of yards at the most. Curtis Dickey, number 27, the ball carrier. It'll be third down and about 8 for the Colts at their own 4-yard line. They trail 21-9 with 2:40 to go in the third quarter.
Siani, McCauley, and Joe Washington now into the ball game. And Houston with that, once again, that 4-2-5 defense.
Randy Burke goes wide to the left, and Burke to the right, and Carr to the left. Jones has not had a very good day statistically. He stays on the ground. Washington for a yard or two. Wrapped up by 78, Curly Culp, now in his 13th year out of Arizona State. And Baltimore will have to kick it away.
Great play by Ted Washington, too, on taking on the offensive guard, holding the play inside so Curly Culp can make the tackle. A human fire plug, NCAA wrestling champion back in, 1968 or something like that? Maybe even earlier, out of Arizona State. Fine players.
So Roaches at the 48-yard line of Baltimore. Mike Bragg kicking from the shadow of his own goalpost. Good snap. Good high spiral. Roaches at the 47-yard line. Trying to get outside. And Glasgow's got him, and down he goes. I believe it was Nesby Glasgow who ran him down. Nope.
26.
Number 26, Kim Anderson. In his first year out of Arizona State, 43 yards on the punt and no return. Over Bob Trumpy. We're in Houston, Texas, where the Oilers lead the Colts 21-9. A little north of us, the Dallas Cowboys on a White to Butch Johnson pass of 28 yards have taken a 7-0 lead over Tampa. And west of us, Oakland leads Washington 3-0 on a Chris Barr field goal. Thank you, sir. Oh, good hit. Fumble. Still loose, and Baltimore's got it back. Oh, what a big break. Tim Wilson, I believe. And who hit him? I don't know. May have been Sanders Shiver, but Joe Ehrman's got the ball.
First mistake that Houston has made today, and I was just about to bring up the point that Houston had played a very clean game all along. Let's see if we can see it up through the middle. No, it was Bruce Laird, isn't it? And then number 40 or Lyle Blackwood, one of the two.
I don't know who hit him, but they popped the ball free, and the Colts now have to do something with it. A minute 19 to go in the quarter. Well, they are lovely, but not as pretty as this shot by Ed Simonini.
I don't think it's the end for the Baltimore Colts.
You don't think it's the end of the Houston Oilers, maybe? Huh?
Right. Watch 56 right in the middle at 6 foot, 205 pounds. He explodes into Carpenter. Ball loose. Ehrman takes control of it. The Colts have the ball on their own.
Back line. Jones dumps it out here to Ben Gary, number 29. San Diego and Denver tied at 3.
And if San Diego wins in Denver, it'll be the first time since 1968, Sam.
Long time. Ben Gary making his first appearance from an offensive set, catches a pass from Jones and gets very close to a Baltimore first down. Oakland, as we mentioned, on a Chris Barr field goal, 3-0 over the Skins. And Dallas on the Danny White pass to Butch Johnson, leading Tampa Bay. L.A., Ferragamo, a touchdown pass. They're a little bit shy. It'll be second down and about a half a yard to go for a first. Baltimore, I would think, Bob, has got to put some points on the board in this drive trailing 21-9 with 1:04 to go third quarter, but they are still not out of it.
Well, let's remind the folks, in case you were mowing the yard and just came in late, they missed 4 opportunities in the first half. And I agree with you that each one of these missed opportunities is another nail in the coffin. And a turnover like this gives you a sudden surge of adrenaline in your offense. They got to get it in the end zone. They got to stay away from that 4-2-5 defense and get it in the end zone.
Well, you're talking about a quarterback, as we mentioned during halftime, Burt Jones, who has thrown for over 500 yards in his first 2 games. He is well under 100 thus far in this ball game. But he can get it going from the I formation. Straight ahead to Gary for the first down at the 46 or 47-yard line of Houston. As they unpile, Robert Brazil, number 52, making the stop, and apparently a flag was down. Here's Gordon McCarter.
I have a false start. Illegal movement of the body and head by the quarterback.
Very seldom called. Mike McCormick obviously upset.
So that will nullify the first down. It'll make it 2nd down and 5. And Jones is still having conversation. Gordon McCarter walking off the 5-yard penalty.
False start. Illegal body movement by the quarterback. An attempt to draw offside. Still 2 second down.
Thank you very much, Mr. McCarty. That's the textbook explanation of bobbing your head.
Twice. I would doubt that Burt Jones would resort to that at this stage of the game. I mean, he had a 2nd down in inches. Getting a first down by penalty is no big deal at this juncture. Dickey, down he goes, back at the 45-yard line. Ted Washington smelled it out, the 8-year veteran out of Mississippi Valley.
Once again, the Houston Oilers defense rises to the occasion.
Now it's a problem because it's 3rd down and 6.
There is nothing. Look how deep those middle linebackers are for Houston so they can take on that play. Stringer coming up. They are not going to let him get outside. I'm sure that's what Eddie Biles, the defensive coordinator, told him at halftime. Don't let Dickey get outside. He's now 14 carries for 79 yards.
They have not converted on 3rd down very well, have they? 30%. 5 defensive backs. They've got Jesse Baker and Stensrud for the pass rush. Jones airs it out. It's caught. Yes. No, he dropped it. Raymond Butler got his hands on it behind Stemrick, but couldn't hold it. So it's 4th down now for Baltimore. Well, we'll have to do the punting in the 4th quarter because we have come to the end of 3 quarters here in Houston. As you look at it again, Burt Jones trying to hit Raymond Butler. He got his hands on it, could not hold it. So at the end of the 3rd quarter, the score is Houston 29, Baltimore 9. We'll be right back after. Sam Nover, Bob Trumpy, and friends back in Houston. Maybe the best-looking array of cheerleaders in the entire league, Robert.
I'm watching football, Sam. Don't distract me.
You are all football. Mike Bragg back at his 35-yard line. Kicking to Carl Roaches. Fair catch at the 20. And he hangs on to it. And so Houston has it again, and Baltimore's got to do something to stop the ground game of the Houston Oilers. Tampa Bay has come back to tie Dallas. Doug Williams, an 11-yard run. Dallas and Tampa Bay tied at 7. 34 yards on the punt by Bragg. We're into the 4th quarter. It's 21-9 Oilers, and the Colts have got to make it happen now.
Bum looks pretty relaxed right there.
Don't forget, tonight, 7 Eastern, 6 o'clock Central on Mountain. Don't miss the season premiere of Chips. Then at 8 o'clock Eastern, 7 Central, James Michener's Centennial. Robert Conrad and Richard Chamberlain star. Look at Tim Wilson. Bang his way up to the 25-yard line. This is a day he won't soon forget. Earl Campbell went down in the 1st quarter, and Carpenter and Wilson have certainly picked up the slack.
And we cannot overlook the offensive line. There's Earl Campbell on the sideline with the clean jersey. The Oilers now with 2 tight ends, more than happy to just run the ball, consume as much of the 14 minutes and 28 seconds left in his ball game with this possession. Hopefully Campbell's all right. That's he missed a quarter and a half last week against Cleveland.
I think it may be something a little bit more problematical for Mr. Campbell than meets the eye. You don't miss a whole quarter of a game against Cleveland and almost all of this one unless you've got some problems. Carpenter run out of the 25, gaining hardly anything on the carry.
Next week, Houston goes to Cincinnati to play the Bengals, who upset the Pittsburgh Steelers today, 30-28.
And that they did. Jack Thompson, the throwing Samoan, who really had a miserable start to this year, has come back very strong. 2 touchdown passes against Pittsburgh.
Little huddle there on the sideline. Would you love to be the quarterback in that huddle?
That's a lot of huddle, my friend. There's nothing little about that. Buffalo has gone on top of New Orleans now. They've taken the game under control, 28-19, fourth quarter. And the Bills having a nice year. As Stabler goes back to pass. Little screen. Rob Carpenter gets the first down up around the 34-yard line.
Great job.
Ronnie Coleman leading the blocking. And that should be good enough for a first down.
And that's the value of Ken Stabler. As we said very early in the game, he will use everybody he's got out there that is an eligible receiver. He better pull his socks up or he'll get fined. But Stabler uses them all, man. He uses the running backs. He'll even throw it to an offensive lineman if he's eligible. If he is eligible.
From the 34-yard line, they split Renfro wide to the right. Still with that double tight end offense, making very little secret about what they want to do here. And he can kill a clock, can't he? Ball carrier was Rob Carpenter, and he got hardly nothing at all. He may have reached the 35. Stacked up by the center of the line, Greg Fields, 79, has played very well. And Simonini, number 56, a middle linebacker.
And the defense of the Baltimore Colts has not let this team down. I repeat, it's the missed opportunities by the offense that has determined the outcome of this game thus far.
But it's the defense who may have to win the game. They've got to take it away from Stabler. They cannot let him eat up 6 and 7 minutes in a possession.
Well, how are you going to keep him from doing that, Sam?
I don't know. If I did, I'd be coaching the Baltimore Colts. Wilson got outside, broke a tackle to Simonini, and gained about 3 yards. It'll be 3rd down and 6 now for Houston to keep the ball. And Sanders Shiver and Mike Barber having words.
Here's my favorite player in the NFL. Watch him slide along that line and get up in there. Mix it up with the big guys. Bounce. That's 225 or 230 against 200. Most of the time, Simonini will win that match. Came at him a little too high.
5 defensive backs now used by the Colts. Blackwood 44. Reggie Pinckney 37. 6 defensive backs. Brazil is still in there. So they're going with 6 defensive backs. Trying to isolate a defensive back out in the flat on Coleman and Carpenter. Stabler throws it downfield. He's got Ronnie Coleman. First down. And a heated discussion after the completion. But another Houston first down, and Reggie Pinckney got beaten on that one.
I don't know. Sometimes Stabler looks like a magician, like he should be out there in a top hat and a cane instead of a football helmet. He waits until Wilson gets, until Coleman gets behind Nesby Glasgow, and bam, he's there with the reception. The ball is there on the way. 15 yards on that reception, another first down Houston. That's now 23 on the day for Houston, only 7 for Baltimore.
21-9 on the scoreboard. The clock continues to move. 10:30 to go in regulation time. Carpenter bouncing off tackler, still on his feet. What a great effort. What a spirited performer he is. 4 years out of Miami of Ohio at 6'1", 230. Carpenter met a couple of tacklers head on and still turned it into about a 4-yard gain.
That's now 20 carries for Carpenter on the day. And I would venture to say it's been 2 years since Earl Campbell got here before, since any other running back has carried the ball more than 20 times, and 101 yards by Carpenter on the day.
Well, you may remember, Bob, his inspired performance against San Diego in the playoffs when Campbell wasn't there.
Correct.
67 yards. Look, and he's over 100 today. He gets it again. And down he goes for a loss of maybe a yard. Boy, they make a lot of noise here, don't they? Frank Corral has kicked a 22-yard field goal. The LA Rams 10. I should say the winless Los Angeles Rams 10. The Green Bay Packers nothing that second quarter. San Diego and Denver have gone to the second quarter tied at 3. Here it's 3rd down and 8 for Stabler. From the 46-yard line of Baltimore, and he gives it off to Carpenter. And this time they've got him. Down he goes at the 42, and it'll be 4th down, but Houston has done the job. They have really worked on the clock. We're down to 9:25 to go. So Stabler has worked off 5.5 minutes of the 4th quarter. Not bad.
And Bum's big gamble on trading quarterback for quarterback. 130 and gaining a 34-year-old quarterback so far has worked out in his favor.
Cliff Parsley is on to punt it deep, and Nesby Glasgow back in single safety. Repeating again, we believe, at least it's been reported to us, that Burt Jones has a broken nose. He suffered it late in the first half and has played the second half with it. You couldn't very well play without it, could you? Parsley, short punt, trying to angle this one out of bounds, gets a good kick, and they couldn't quite down it.
Almost.
Hartwig was down there, and he couldn't quite get his hands on it, so it'll be a touchback and come out to the 20-yard line. 42 yards on the punt by Parsley. Baltimore's got to make it happen now. Sam Nover and Bob Trumpy on a day of upsets in the National Football League. Cincinnati has beaten Pittsburgh. San Francisco clobbered the New York Jets. Minnesota ripped the Chicago Bears. No upset here. Oilers favored by 6.5. Lead it by 12 as Campbell throws it out to Curtis Dickey. And he gets the first down at the 32-yard line. This guy is really electric, Bob.
He is absolutely sensational speed, too. He has a great acceleration off maybe 1 or 1.5 steps. And 11 yards on this catch. Out of the I formation, just a quick screen, but he's unprotected out there. Totally on his own. But watch that first step. Bam, he's around that guy. Boy, that's acceleration.
Curtis Dickey, the second leading rusher in the Southwest Conference history. You, of course, would know who the #1 is.
Let me guess.
On the same field today, isn't he?
Doyle Campbell. No,
yes.
He's not on the same field.
Well, they are on the same field. They're just not playing at the same time. A little out pattern and badly thrown to Roger Carr by Jones. He had a little pressure on him. So it'll be 2nd down at 10. Dickey, again, the 5th player drafted in 1980. Had contract problems, was a holdout. Missed 38 practices during training camp for the Baltimore Colts. Then finally got to camp, went into the preseason, and suffered a thigh injury, so he is really running well behind the rest of the guys. But he seems to be well healed today.
And I don't think the Baltimore Colts should be too ashamed about getting beaten by the Houston Oilers. They almost beat Pittsburgh last week, and without those missed opportunities in the first half, this would be one heck of a football game. Next week, they take on the New York Jets.
They have not lost yet. 2nd down and 10 from the 31. Jones needs a spark. Throws the home run ball. He's got Butler. Oh, and it's just deflected away by J.C. Wilson. Pretty good play by Wilson.
Very close. No, I don't want to mark the Baltimore Colts off in this ball game. Believe me, don't confuse what I'm saying here. But I don't understand why they haven't done this earlier. He tried Butler one other time. That's just good coverage by Stemrick, as you said. Or is that J.C. Wilson?
It is Wilson.
Excuse me. Good coverage by Wilson. That's a deflection. That's not easy to do. And he may have saved an awful long reception.
Brian DeRue, number 87, one of the wide receivers, split out to the right. Carr is the only one split to the near side. Mike McCormick watching intently on a 3rd and 10 from the Baltimore 31. Jones trying to get the first down, and he threw it over everybody. They had double covered Randy Burke over the center. So it's 4th down, and the Colts will have to kick it, and Houston's defense has been utterly brilliant today. Tatum and Vernon Perry were both there.
Well designed by Eddie Biles. He convinced the players that it would work, and it has for the last 2 years. That nickel defense, and that's Eddie Biles right there with a headset on in the middle of your picture, talking to Robert Brazil. He is the defensive genius in Houston, like George Perlis is in Pittsburgh.
Mike Bragg at his 15-yard line. Carl Roach is standing at his 30. Another good high punt by Bragg, driving Roaches back to the 20-yard line. Catches it right on the pitcher's mound. Down he goes at the 21. An excellent punt and superb coverage by the Baltimore Colts. But they got to play takeaway. Ed Smith is the man who made the stop. 49 yards and 1 yard return. We'll be back to the Dome in a moment. Well, this could be a big year for the city of Houston with the Astros and the Oilers having outstanding teams. How does that statistic grab you?
That's amazing. Last week, of course, the Oilers had it for 42 minutes and 20 seconds on offense against the Cleveland Browns. Allowed the Browns just 12 plays in the second half. They've done it again today, so it's no fluke.
First down from the 21. The pitch is to Rob Carpenter. And he's grabbed and brought down for a 2-yard loss by Reggie Pinckney, number 37. A 4-year veteran out of East Carolina. One of the few times that Carpenter, excuse me, Bob, has lost any yardage today.
Excuse me, and as an afterthought to that time of possession, both games they've done it without Earl Campbell in the second half. He gained 100 yards last week, but somebody emerges. Two people today, Rob Carpenter and Tim Wilson, emerged to take the load for the Houston Oilers, and they continue right on where they did last week.
Right you are. Second down at 12, a 2-yard loss by Carpenter and Stabler. A possession pass out in the flat to Castor. And he gains about 3 yards. Stopped at the 23. Good coverage by Glasgow on Rich Castor, number 88. So it's third down. It's Stabler with a big play. 7:35 to go. I say big because Jones can get fairly good field position here if they force Houston to punt from where they are now.
5 defensive backs now for Baltimore.
Out comes Ed Smith, number 52. Pinckney stays in there. Third down and 10. Stabler throws it out to Ronnie Coleman. Catches it and goes out of bounds. Very close to a Houston first down. Ronnie Coleman is just an exceptional pass receiver. Stabler says he's the best Houston has.
You saw Coleman at the top of the screen coming inside on motion, just turned around and went outside on Larry Brazil. And all they needed was about 7. They picked up 9, another first down. And lead another 3 or 4 minutes off the clock. Incredible.
7:05 to go in regulation time. It's 21-9 Houston. And Stabler just refuses to give the ball back to Burt Jones again. However, Jones has had his chances today. 3 Steve Mickemeyer field goals. It's all that Baltimore has to show for its offense.
That's not legal. That's not legal.
Both wide receivers. Stabler is snowed under and down he goes. Boy, he got thrown down hard by number 52, Ed Smith. He doesn't get back there very often. A rookie out of Vanderbilt, cut by Stabler, play action, looking downfield, throws it in the flat, bobble around, caught by Carpenter. Laterals, intercepted by Baltimore. Steve Heimkreider, what a weird play that was.
That was caught by Barber.
Heimkreider ends up with the football.
Barber was trying to be a little too fancy. He caught it just out of the field. Or was it Carpenter?
It was Rob Carpenter.
Oh, it was Carpenter. You're right. I apologize. I think he's trying to do a little too much with it here. Watch him. He tries to lateral it back to one of his players.
Carl Mock, I think.
Carl Mock. And Heimkreider comes up with it.
Wow. Well, it isn't over, folks. 3:12 to play. Baltimore has it, but they trail by 12. They need 2 scores in a hurry. Kind of enjoying it. He's smiling. He tried to make a hero out of an offensive lineman, didn't he?
Yes, he did. That was a big mistake, but he better pull his socks up. He's going to get fined for the day's out.
He's had a great day.
Yes, he has.
So Baltimore now from its 21-yard line with Burt Jones at the helm, trailing 21-9, and Jones will let fly here. Throws it down. He's got a man wide open. It's Roger Carr at the 42-yard line, and I believe that's his first catch of the day.
I agree with you totally, Sam, and he was, of course, their biggest weapon last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers. He had 6 catches for 108 yards, and that 20 yards on that catch, and that was his first.
And Burt Jones was slow getting up. He took a wrap from somebody around the face mask, and maybe somebody irritated that nose as you look at Carr again, but Jones is still there. He is a hard-nosed young man.
He's an awful gutty quarterback, and that's one of the leadership qualities of Burt Jones that you cannot replace.
And he gives this time to Curtis Dickey, trying to break it outside. Still on his feet. 50-45 and out of bounds, stopping the clock. At the 42-yard line of Houston, Curtis Dickey has been something else today. #1 draft choice of Baltimore.
And Baltimore may lose this game, but they have definitely found an offensive weapon in Curtis Dickey. 14 yards on that carry, and that down gives him a total of 93, I believe, on the day. Yes, 14 carries for 93 yards, and once again, a tremendous acceleration. Good balance, too.
Not bad.
Very good balance. I played football for a couple of years with a guy named Tommy Smith. You remember him?
The sprinter.
Yes, the sprinter that won the Olympics. One of the most difficult things to teach these kids is to run crooked, because for track they're taught to run straight.
Away. You're
That's
right. Jones first down. Oh, he's got some heat on now. Flag is down, and so is Jones. Way back at the 50-yard line. I think there's some offensive holding in that backfield against Baltimore, but Jones suffered about a 6-yard loss. So let's see what Houston decides to do. There's the indication, offensive holding against Baltimore.
And Sam, every time all day long that Baltimore has shown signs of life, Houston has snuffed it out.
Big plays.
They have done a great
Big
job defensively on the Colts all day long.
Greg Landry starting to throw on the sidelines with 2:13 to go in the game. Here's the referee, Gordon McCarter, with the official call.
Hold. Number 62, offense declined. Second down.
So they take the loss.
You see it right there. Number 62 grabbing, Ken Huff grabbing a hold of Stensrud's shirt. Stensrud. How do you pronounce his name?
Stensrud, but
okay,
you were close. You were all around it, partner.
Drag him down. 5 sacks on the day. And the Oiler defense now has 7 sacks on the season. Last year they were 3rd in the NFL with 51 sacks.
2nd and 15 for Burt Jones. From the Houston 48. Steps up in the pocket. Looking. Flag is down in the secondary of Houston. Boy, that coverage is outstanding by the Oilers today. Jones has had time to find receivers, but the coverage has simply been magnificent.
Defensive pass interference, holding, number 54, Houston, Greg Bingham.
Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you got great eyes.
That's a no-no. Actually, I don't. I was just watching the tight end.
So they'll walk off the penalty, place the ball at the 43. It's an automatic first down.
Holding. Number 54.
Attaboy, Trumpy. Attaboy, Trumpy.
Automatic first down.
And I don't want to be an official. Believe me.
2:07 to go. There you see Mike McCormick and Greg Landry. Jones hanging tough. This is a pretty remarkable young man out of LSU. He took all the blame for last Sunday's loss to Pittsburgh. Throws this one complete to the 35-yard line. Gain of about 8. Curtis Dickey, the receiver, 2nd down and 2, and we're down to the 2-minute warning. He threw an interception, Burt Jones did, with 3.5 minutes to go at the Pittsburgh goal line, and he took all the blame for the loss. He's a remarkable young man. He's trying to get more points for Baltimore, and we'll see if he does in a moment. Well, they're certainly trying to kick it in, aren't they? Bum Phillips promised he'd kick the Steeler door in this year. They've moved it a little bit today.
Well, that was a pretty emotional time. Pittsburgh is holding him accountable for that statement, but it came the night after the Oilers lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers. 75,000 people in this stadium, and it seats about 50,000. Standing room only. Came in on a police motorcycle. He said, last year we knocked on it. This year we're going to kick it in.
Well, they've made some movement today, I can tell you. From the 35, it's Dickey. First, oh, no. Great defensive play by Bingham. And Dickey still fighting for the yardage, and he and J.C. Wilson start to mix it up a bit. He's a feisty young man, Curtis Dickey, isn't he?
Yeah, well, with sprinter speed, you can run away from most fights. I'd be feisty, too.
You're right. Hey, speaking of Texas, Johnny Johnson, former Texas All-American, #1 draft choice of the LA Rams, has just returned a pass of Lynn Dickey's 99 yards, an intercepted pass for a touchdown. 24-7, the Rams lead Green Bay. Let's pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC television network.
KPRC TV, Channel 2, Houston.
Sam Nover and Bob Trumpy in Houston. An incompleted pass to Curtis Dickey. Hit his shoulder pad and bounced off. And Burt Jones is certainly giving him enough work today as Ben Gary gives him a little pat on the tummy. A minute 21 to go. The Colts try to be respectable. 21-9. They'd like another score on the board. They have had their chances, particularly in the first half. Baltimore now with a 2nd down and 10. Play action. Throws it out here to Dickey again, trying to run away from people. 30, 25, at the 20, goes down at the 17 for a first down. Curtis Dickey has done it all for Baltimore. He is simply amazing.
Well, we came into the game, Sam, figuring that Joe Washington would be the offensive threat. That's the way we set the football game up. They knew nothing about Curtis Dickey because you've said missed 38 days of practice, 16 yards on this reception, and he's done a fine job. He has made no mistakes. Jones now 9 of 27 for 105 yards on the day.
It has not been a Burt Jones day. We'll be right back. Tells you the whole story. 21-9 Houston. 3 touchdowns in the first 3 quarters. Campbell a 1-yard run. Stabler to Castor 3 yards. Rob Carpenter also a touchdown, and that's where we stand at the moment.
Sam, I want to correct that stat on Burt Jones. He is 10 of 28 for 121 yards. Look at it, he's drawing plays in the dirt out there, trying to get the ball in the end zone.
You bet.
And this is exactly where Baltimore has had their most problems all day long. They've been down here. They were down here in the first half 4 times.
They got Curtis Dickey out of the ball game to give him a rest. Joe Washington and Ben Gary in the backfield. Oh! Throws a quick pass. He's got it. Touchdown, Baltimore. Joe Washington, and that was a play that looked like it was drawn up in the dirt, Bob. 18 yards on the touchdown pass, and Jones gets him in.
Against the sticky defense of the Houston Oilers, and they may have gone to the well once too often. You see Washington release right up behind Reese McCall, the tight end, and there's no coverage on that man. Those 2 guys were covering Reese McCall. This game's not over. I expect an onside kick now. 21-15 with Mickemeyer on the field, make it 21-16.
So Steve Mickemeyer out of Greg Landry's hold will try to put the Baltimore Colts to within 6 points, or 5 points. And he does. It's a 21-16 game. And Baltimore with 1:06 on the clock. And I believe 1 timeout left, Bob.
2 timeouts
2
left,
left.
Sam.
2 left is right. Well, well, well. And the Houston Oilers have 9 men lined up within 5 yards of each other. Onside kick. Nobody will be fooled here. Mickemeyer. Tim Smith has it. A flag is down.
They got the Oilers offsides.
2 penalty markers are down.
Yes, correct.
Tim Smith fell on the ball. The Nebraska rookie, who we have talked about at great length today, more about his wife than about Tim.
There may be offsetting penalties here. Offsides on both teams. Because there's a flag at the 35. And
yes, Glasgow seems content that that's probably what it is.
Offside, kicking team, offside, receiving team, play nullifies, re-kick.
How's that possible?
Well, the Baltimore Colts are over anxious to get to the ball.
Yeah, that I understand. How can you be offside in receiving it?
The defensive guy may have been watching the ball and stepped on the line. Because
forged ahead in anticipation?
You want to get as close to the line as possible. Now, do they kick it to the other side?
Well, that one didn't work, did it? 4 seconds ticked off the clock. We're at 1:02. 21-16. Houston in a death struggle with the Baltimore Colts. Well, the Colts have been in some great games. They beat the Jets by 3. They lose to Pittsburgh by 3. They now trail by 5.
Hey, listen.
To the Houston
see the man
Oilers.
on the right, Mike McCormick?
Yes.
He just backed up a little bit, like he was expecting the ball to come to this side. I think he's going to kick it to the other side.
Mickemeyer comes this way with it. It goes 10 yards. Fight for it. It's loose. Baltimore. Oh, no. Houston got it back.
Baltimore's offsides anyway.
Baltimore had a chance. Somebody had it in their arms.
But Baltimore was offsides on the kickoff anyway.
Okay,
Sam.
you're right. A flag is down. Barber's got it. Wow, that was close.
Kicking team declined. First down.
59 seconds to go. Ooh, we almost had a great finish, Mr. Trumpy.
That was amazing. That's why I said that ball is pointed on both ends. It bounces funny.
So they refuse the penalty. Offsides against Baltimore. Houston has the ball, which is all they wanted at this point.
That was Mike Barber's most important reception of the day, my friend.
Good point. From the 40-yard line. Here it is again, the end. Boy, it's in there.
That's what makes the game exciting.
Stabler to Rob Carpenter. Thrown for a loss back at the 39. And Baltimore immediately stops the clock. They have one timeout left. No, they haven't stopped it. 48, it is still running.
Now they stop.
Now they do with 47, but they somehow lost about 8 seconds there. You know, that invariably happens, Bob.
Baltimore number 2.
I know viewers sit at home. They watch the clock inserted on television, and they see 7 or 8 seconds run. And Stabler just falls on the ball. Baltimore gets a timeout immediately, stopping the clock with 44 seconds to play. Now they cannot stop it again. So Stabler can run a third down play, tick 30 seconds off the clock, and then force the Houston Oilers to punt. Myself a couple of times almost saying Pastorini. Seems a little strange to come down to this building and not see Dante. Stabler goes down, and the clock will tick down as soon as the referee signals that the clock, the 30 seconds is in vogue again. So Baltimore will get the ball back again. Now wait a minute. They won't. They let it run down below 30 seconds. Before they signal the clock to start running, it is all over. They will run this down, and Baltimore's not happy about it. The final seconds ticking away in a Houston 21-16 victory over the Baltimore Colts. Great little smile on the lips of Kenny Stabler. The Houston Oilers have now moved into a first-place tie in the AFC Central Division with the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have defeated Baltimore here today by a score of 21-16. Kenny Stabler having himself another outstanding day statistically, completing over 80% of his passes, 1 touchdown pass. That was a 3-yarder to Rich Castor. At that point in the second quarter, it made it 14-6 after the extra point. And the Houston Oilers will never head it after that. Reviewing the scoring, Earl Campbell, a 1-yard run early on following a Don McCauley fumble. As you see a dejected Ed Simonini walk off the field. They were raided by a pass interference call in that particular drive. Campbell took it in from a yard out, and that's about all we saw of Earl Campbell for the day. 7-0 at the end of a quarter. Houston led it. Steve Mickemeyer then kicked field goals of 30 and 24 yards to make it 7-6. 2 great scoring opportunities went by the boards for the Baltimore Colts, but they got the field goals, and it was 7-6 at that point. Then Stabler got the play that really put him away, a 3-yard pass to Castor. 14-6. They win it by a score of 21-16. The executive producer of NBC's football is Don Ohlmeyer. Coordinating producer Ted Nathanson. The telecast of today's game was produced by Peter Rolfe and directed by Jim Cross. Our associate director, Ray Benassi.